All right, guys, welcome back to Press X Podcast, or PXP for short. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you so much for waiting patiently for the intro to finish up there. And yes, that's right. Press X Podcast is back. Should probably let you guys know what's up with that. It's really nothing super serious. Just basically deciding to go with the name Press X Podcast again, in order to, I guess, just kind of allow the stream content on the channel to kind of very clearly, I guess you could say, have its own place. Just for people who are passing by or who are just quickly looking through their subscription feeds, or if they are quickly looking over the channel, it'll be like very obvious, like, oh, okay, this is the podcast, this is the stream, and then here's the video content, So, I mean, I know YouTube does have their own tabs on every channel to do that, but still, I think it will help. Plus, a lot of you guys have been asking me to kind of bring that name back as well. So, I am your host, MBG, and we have your co-host here, Boss, who is sneaking up beside me here. Yeah, I mean, it's Press X Podcast. Obviously, most people who use the PlayStation controller refer to the cross button as X, but Sony, they officially named the X button the cross button, but I'm not going to call it Press Cross Podcast because, well, I don't know. That just doesn't sound as good to me. So, but yeah, calling it Press X Podcast does kind of leave some room to talk about Xbox as well, right? Yeah, so you guys know what I'm doing here. But before we go over the topics that we're going to discuss over the course of today's episode, I do want to give a shout out to Matt Fu, who dropped 5 membership gifts a couple of minutes ago before the stream actually went live. Matt, thank you so much for that, buddy. Really appreciate the support you continue to show me,
appreciate it.
The channel, and the community.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hold on? Did I just play that like 3 times? I'm gonna play it one more time. Is that not coming through? Boss, I will escort you out of this room. Listen, I'm trying to have my co-host here for the first episode, the return of Press X Podcast, but he's already trying to bite the mic and chew on it. So if I have to escort him out, we'll bring him back when he's calmed down. Be nice, boss. I don't want to have to deal with this nonsense today. Look, here's a couple of, oh, sorry. My bad. He fell over. He tripped. All right. Off to a great start. Yeah, we're going to have some banter with boss. Off to a great start. Let me try this one more time. Matt Fu, thank you for the 5 bomb, dude.
Thank you.
There we go.
Appreciate it.
Okay. I just wasn't hearing it on my end. I just had to make sure there weren't any technical difficulties. We also have Digital Dude 25 here with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Digital Dude, saying, I'm calling it now. If Astrobot is successful, then we'll see Astrobot 2 as a PlayStation 6 launch title. I think that's a pretty good prediction. It seems pretty clear based off of everything we've heard about the new Astrobot game that it's a new start. It's a new beginning for what is clearly going to be a franchise for PlayStation. And I think you're right. If we see Astrobot succeed and it does relatively well, I imagine they're going to greenlight another one, like a sequel for PlayStation 6. The question is, though, will it be a pack-in game like it was for the PS5 to show off the new features that the PlayStation 6 will offer? I think that's the real question. We're a ways off from that, but I'm going to say probably not. I don't if I had to make a guess right now, if we get a sequel to this Astrobot game that'll be launching with the PlayStation 6, I don't think it'll be a free pack-in. That's just my guess. Remember, I'm saying this, so 4 years from now, we can come back and find out if I was right or not. And we have Wabu Dude with a $5 super chat as well, saying, "Hey, MBG, did you see that Mystic Ryan and Spawnwave are starting a PlayStation podcast? Keep up the good work, man." Actually, I think I randomly scrolled across that when I was just kind of browsing through YouTube. I didn't click on it, though. Maybe I'll go check it out. That's pretty interesting. I think I've seen him on the Spawncast a couple times, Mystic, that is. So it's interesting. I guess they decided to do like an actual like PlayStation podcast. That'll be interesting. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. But yeah, we are already at 5 members. Thanks to Matt Fu. Appreciate that. I'm going to go over that in just a moment. But before I do, I want to let you guys know what topics we're going to be discussing over the course of today's episode. Oh, Capono, thank you for I didn't know that. Interesting. Okay. The topics we're going to discuss over the course of today's episode is new information about Horizon Lego Adventures, which is apparently set to be revealed tomorrow during Summer Game Fest. We're learning that apparently this game is set to launch day and date on PC, which is very interesting. So I want to go over that, give you the details, let you know where this info is coming from. We're also talking about Concord once again because we now have the official pricing of Concord, as well as new and I would say important details about the game that if you are interested in it, you're going to want to know about. But generally speaking, I think a lot of people are kind of curious to know what this game is going to offer, knowing that it's not going to be free to play. We're also talking about how Sony has quietly removed the 8K logo from the PlayStation 5 box. When you purchase a PlayStation 5, you get a big box with it, and up until this point, they've had a big yellow 8K logo that you couldn't miss. And it's something that, honestly, I just think is kind of funny, but we'll just talk about why they probably removed it. We're also going to be talking about an interesting rumor regarding the Xbox Showcase, which we are going to stream that on Sunday. So I want to go over this rumor with you and let you know what to expect, apparently, because it sounds like Microsoft is going pretty big. We're also talking about Silent Hill 2 and how there's a new report that claims Bloober Team is actually the reason why bigger changes were not made to Silent Hill 2 Remake. Apparently, the original development team of Silent Hill 2 Remake wanted there to be even more drastic changes, and Bloober Team basically decided against it, which is interesting. So we will definitely talk about that. We have another topic that once again focuses on Sony trying to bring more Chinese-developed games to PlayStation 5, and a bonus topic, which I would like to get to because it's pretty interesting, is apparently the majority, or at least a lot, of Rocksteady's development team has been moved over to work on a Hogwarts Legacy director's cut, and it sounds like things are going very, very, very badly behind the scenes for Rocksteady to a concerning degree where I think some people are starting to worry about the future of this studio. So we're going to talk about that as well. So we have quite a few different topics to go over and discuss here. So before we dive into it, I just want to let you guys know a couple of ways you can help support the channel. As I tell you and will continue to tell you as long as it remains true, I do rely on you guys to be able to do these streams and to be able to run the channel the way that I do. We are completely fan funded. I don't do sponsorships. You guys are the sponsors of the channel. So thank you to everybody watching live. Thank you to everybody who watches the streams after the fact. I know not everybody can make it to the live shows, but there are a couple of ways you can support directly. Number one, consider becoming a channel member. You gain access to exclusive perks. Number two, consider gifting channel memberships, which goes a long way in helping me, but also gets the community much more engaged with the membership tier. And thirdly, you can consider donating a super chat, ask a question, give an opinion, make a statement. Anything in between, it all helps tremendously. And there are two other bonus ways you can help. There is a direct donation link pinned in the chat box where if you do want to donate that way, you can still leave a message just like a super chat, but 100% of what you donate goes to the creator. And the other bonus way is there's now some merch for those who are interested. You can go check it out. I'm trying to add more merch to the shop. You just peruse it, see what's on offer, see if anything interests you. There currently is a bit of a promotion where you can get 10% off if you use the code MBG10. So that's up there now. Not a numbered PXP. No, I'm actually not going to number Press X podcast because we're going to be doing Press X podcast multiple times a week. It's not going to be like every day or anything like that. Definitely not. It's not a daily podcast, but we're going to be doing it multiple times a week. And I don't want to number it because it's just the number's going to climb too quick. It'll just get out of hand too quickly. All right. So yeah, once again, a big thank you to everybody who helps the channel out. Do me a favor before we move on and hit that like button to help the stream. Hitting like lets me know you guys enjoy the show. So we have Swift Guyver here, member for 7 months, says, when are we getting an MBG X Mystic collab? An hour-long chat between the two of you about PlayStation would be cool. Make it happen. Keep up the great work, bro. Well, thank you so much for that. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking me if I'll ever collaborate with Mystic Ryan. I mean, who knows? Who knows? I don't want to say that that's something that's necessarily in the works right now because I have no idea. I mean, I've never talked to Mystic, but, it's hard to say what the future holds. Maybe that's something that could happen one day. I'm not going to leave it off the table. We'll see. That'd be pretty cool. Boss, you all right there? So we're going to dive into the first topic here, which talks about Lego Horizon Adventures and how apparently Sony is planning to release this game day and date on PC. So it's going to drop on PS5 and PC on the same day. And this has led people to speculate the possibility of this game maybe being multiplayer. So let's go over the report here. This comes from Dia Labs, who has been they've been very accurate with their reporting on PlayStation lately. They have actually been leaking a lot about PlayStation lately, and almost all of it has been correct. So the new report says, here is the brand new PlayStation game coming soon and day one on PS5, but on PC as well. Now, I will let you know this article is translated, so if it reads strangely, that's why. And we have Digital Dude 25 with another $5 super chat. Thank you for that, buddy, saying they removed the 8K tag so they can add it to the PlayStation 6 box. Mark my words. 8K to the PlayStation 6 box? What could go wrong? Yeah, we'll talk about that, Digital Dude. We'll talk about that. You're probably right, though. The article here says, discover exclusively the first details about the new PlayStation game Lego Horizon Adventures. Available platforms, announcement, and pre-order date, and lots of other information await you in this article. We have just discovered various video game announcements during Sony's latest State of Play. This event, which took place on the evening of May 30th, presented no less than 14 games on PS5 and PSVR 2. However, some players expected to see a certain game arrive during this event. This game was mentioned following several rumors from reliable sources in the video game industry. It would be called Lego Horizon Adventures. An update on the rumors about Lego Horizon Adventures. It all started with a tweet from a certain Kirikasis, which dates back to May 16th. He explains that a project called Lego Horizon Adventures would see the light of day with an imminent announcement. For those wondering who this user is, they usually dig up game names from trademark data, and he stood out in particular during the first State of Play in January 2024 by revealing at least 2 names of video games, which turned out to be correct. Journalist Tom Henderson, also known for his reliable leaks, corroborated Kirikasis's comments. He adds, though, through his article on Insider Gaming, that the project is indeed that of a game, but he still doesn't know the exact details of this game. Our information on Lego Horizon Adventures. After long investigations, we were finally able to gather some information about this next Sony game. Number 1, the game publisher. We can confirm that Sony Interactive Entertainment is the publisher of the Lego Horizon Adventures game. Number 2, available platforms. This is the surprise of the day and the information that we think is the most important in this article because, in fact, and according to our information, the game will be available on PC and PS5 on the day of its release. It will therefore not be a console exclusive as we are used to seeing with other PlayStation games. 3, announcement and opening dates for pre-orders. Still, according to our information, the announcement of LEGO Horizon Adventures will be made on June 8th, 2024. So that's, I think, due to different time zones. This is a French website, so, June 7th is when Summer Game Fest is happening. We can therefore easily deduce that this announcement will be made during the Summer Game Fest, which will begin on June 7th, 2024. In addition, the pre-order phase of the game will open immediately after this announcement. Thus, we can also conclude that the game will undoubtedly have... I'm going to try to make sense of what's being translated here. Will undoubtedly have a gameplay trailer during Summer Game Fest 2024. However, we do not know when the game's release date will be. So they have even more information here, which I'm going to go over. But it looks like we have a direct donation from PS Gamer. Let me throw this up one more time. So, PS Gamer, thank you for that direct donation, buddy. You're saying here, do you think with all the games as a service cancellations from Sony's first-party studios like Naughty Dog and Insomniac, Herman is restructuring the entire studios? This could ensure that each studio only works on their preferred projects without being forced to produce games as a service. I think it's a great question. It does seem like during the end of Jim Ryan's time at PlayStation as the CEO, it does seem like there may have been some disgruntled PlayStation Studios employees and developers within like Insomniac and maybe Naughty Dog and maybe others, but at least with those two. And there were some reports from like Jason Schreier that claimed that, yeah, there was a bit of frustration. So it could be that maybe Jim Ryan created some kind of light mandate, if you will, basically saying like, yeah, you guys got to work on live service games. And, not every PlayStation studio was on board with that. Now that Jim Ryan is no longer the CEO, it is Herman Hulst as a CEO alongside Hideaki Nishino. But Hideaki Nishino has no control over what happens on the studio side of things. So it's a possibility. To answer your question simply, I think it's actually somewhat likely that we could see a bit of a restructuring, or maybe we already did see that occur in the last 6 months, where the restructuring is simply dividing up these teams, letting the teams work on what they want to work on. And I think that would also explain why we're not really seeing any live service games coming out of the major studios that don't want to deal with it. Devil Shooter, yeah, I tried it out. It did help a little bit. I appreciate that, man. So PS Gamer, thank you for that. I'm going to continue with this information, though, because they still have more here. Game genre and features. LEGO Horizon Adventures will indeed be an action-adventure game. We can easily guess that from the title of the game. It can very well be played solo, but also in co-op. And for the good news, the game supports cross-platform co-op. That is to say that you can play with people on PC if you're playing on PS5. So, yeah, interesting. The game will have co-op editions available. The game will be available in a standard edition as well as a deluxe edition. We don't know the exact name of the deluxe edition. The price remains unknown. It says a PSN account remains mandatory on PC if you want to access this game. So, yeah, that's no surprise at this point. And they say a very last detail that is very important. According to the latest information available to us, we see in-app purchases. They say in-app purchases are part of the game, but we do not know at the moment what it is, since the game will obviously not be multiplayer. So I wouldn't read too much into the in-app purchase thing, because if the game has DLC, I mean, that counts as in-app purchases. So, it would be kind of wild if they decide to have microtransactions in this, but we're pretty much learning not everything, but a lot about this game. So Sony's publishing it. It's going to drop day and date on PS5 and PC. The announcement for pre-orders is going to go live apparently tomorrow, which tells me this game is coming out this year, or like very early 2025, like January or February. It will feature co-op. It will be cross-platform. There will be a standard and a deluxe edition. You will need a PSN account on PC, and Yeah, I mean, at this point, we have to know what the actual game is. Like the fact that they say it's co-op, I don't know. I mean, I guess that could explain why it's going to go day and date on PC, right? Because the whole thing here is people are wondering if Sony at some point is going to start bringing their single player games day and date to PC. And I was under the assumption that this Lego Horizon Adventure game would be single player. But then again, most of the Lego games did feature co-op of some kind. So now we're getting confirmation through a leaker that it is going to feature co-op. So I guess this would maybe explain why it's going to drop day and date on PC. But what's really interesting is Tom Henderson chimed in with this. And Tom Henderson basically said that from what he's been told, this game is essentially Horizon Forbidden West, but Lego. And I wish, well, honestly, I don't wish that we get any more clarification because we're going to find out tomorrow. But I do wonder if that means, like, is it literally like Horizon Forbidden West in its entirety, but Lego, and you can play co-op? Or do they just mean that it's basically using all the same mechanics and machines and basically everything that was available, maybe even the location as well? Like, that's going to be the same. Orange, you're saying MBG Digital Deluxe Upgrade is a DLC, which classifies the game as having in-app purchases. Okay, thank you for that clarification, Orange. And we have 3 super chats from Josh here and a super chat from Perfect Image. Perfect Image says, hopefully if you have time, watch Digital Foundry's comments on the PlayStation converter to PC. We will see how Summer Game Fest alters Sony directions. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking me to watch some of the stuff that Digital Foundry's been putting out recently. And I think that they do like a podcast and they kind of cover all the major announcements each week. I don't think I'm going to be reacting to that during the stream, but maybe later on my own, I'll have to check it out. We also have Josh here saying, I'm glad that you've experienced Resident Evil 4 on PSVR 2 because you're going to understand what I mean here. People watching that Behemoth trailer won't be able to grasp what's going to be going on in that headset. In the trailer, when the Behemoth is walking closer to you and you see the player look down at the puddle being distorted, when you combo that with the 3D audio and foveated rendering with haptics, insane. You already know what's going to go down in that headset. Yeah, I will say that when watching that trailer, I specifically remember seeing that when, you know, the Behemoth is getting closer, and it's interesting because I've played a couple of VR2 games, and it's true that when you're watching these trailers, you really cannot fully understand unless you've experienced PSVR 2 firsthand, like what the player will actually be seeing and experiencing in those moments. But yeah, it reminded me very much of when I was playing Horizon Call the Mountain, you know, the intro, when you see like the tall neck walking by, and like you could kind of imagine it. I remember seeing the trailer for that. I'm like, oh, that must be pretty awesome. But then when you're actually wearing the headset and you're looking up and, you know, it feels like real life at that, you know what I mean? It's real life. It's PSVR 2. Yeah. Yeah, I totally hear you, Josh. And it'll be interesting to see how that Behemoth game does. What I'm interested in knowing is if any of Sony's first-party teams are working on anything PSVR 2 related. I'm thinking no, to be honest. I'm thinking that there are no PSVR 2 games being worked on by any first-party PlayStation studios. And I know that sounds depressing, but I just don't have any evidence to tell me otherwise. Like, I would have thought that if there was any team that was working on a PSVR 2 game, it would have been Team Asobi with Astrobot, and even now we know that nope. So, yeah, I don't know, man. We'll have to see where it goes. But Josh, either way, I do hope you enjoy Behemoth, man, and I hope you enjoy some of the upcoming PSVR 2 games. But I got to ask you guys, do you feel surprised by this news that apparently Horizon Lego Adventures is going to release day and date on PC? Or is this something that just sounds like kind of par for the course here? For me, this doesn't sound very surprising. It would have been more surprising if the game didn't feature co-op. And I'm again, I'm very curious to find out who's actually developing this game. I'm thinking it might be TT Games, but like Traveler's Tale, they usually work on the Lego games. But if it was single player only, I think I would have been a little bit more surprised. I would have been a little bit like, oh, okay, this might be a test that Sony is putting out there. Because when we had the conversation about PlayStation going full blown day and date on PC with, you know, their single player games and not their multiplayer, I always kind of had this mentality that Sony wouldn't just dive in head first and do that. They would basically experiment and they would see, you know, let's take this game, this one single player game, let's put it there day and date and let's just see what happens. Let's test the waters. I always kind of imagined that that's what Sony would do. And I would have thought that Lego Horizon Adventures would have been that until we found out it's co-op. So the fact that it's co-op, I guess what this maybe also confirms is that future games that offer co-op, I guess, will be day and date as well. So a game that immediately comes to my mind is Sony Bend's next project. Sony Bend did confirm that this game they're working on, it's a new IP, it will have multiplayer. And they're not talking about it in like a traditional way. They almost make it sound like it's, I don't know, they almost made it sound like it's going to be an add-on multiplayer, but it's going to play an integral part of the game. So I wonder if it's going to be co-op, and I wonder if that's what they're going to do, where it's like, yeah, Sony Bend's next game, even though it has a single-player component, at least I assume it will, maybe it doesn't, yeah, you know, it's going to launch day and date on PC as well. That'd be pretty interesting. But those are all the new details we have on Lego Horizon Adventures. And so the last question I'll ask you guys before we move on to the next topic is, based off of what we've heard, because we have yet to see this game and we don't know the price of it yet, does this sound like something you're going to be interested in? We also have Venino here with the $2 super chat saying MBG Ghost of Tsushima 2 will have multiplayer, also PC. Don't pay for Plus. Yeah, that's true. If you're playing any of these games on PC that Sony's releasing, you do have to create a PlayStation Network account, but you do not need PlayStation Plus. And yeah, I don't know. It's weird when it comes to thinking about Ghost of Tsushima 2 because there seems to have been multiple job listings in the past that indicate they're working on something multiplayer. And we know that they did Ghost of Tsushima Legends. But we know that Ghost of Tsushima 2 is going to be a big single-player tentpole title. So maybe I don't know, maybe they'll do something similar to what they did with Legends, where they'll release Ghost of Tsushima 2. It'll be a standalone single-player game, and then shortly after they'll release maybe like a bigger, more fleshed-out version of like Ghost of Tsushima Legends 2. Something like that. Antonio Lopes is saying MBG Tom Warren has some leaks. Uh-oh. If it's Tom Warren, I'm assuming Microsoft leaks. Project Latitude details. Okay, that's actually incredibly relevant to PlayStation. So I'm gonna put this with the Xbox Showcase rumor. So we'll definitely talk about that. Thank you for letting me know, Antonio. I definitely would have missed that. For those who are wondering, Project Latitude is the internal name of Microsoft's like multi-platform plans. So apparently Tom Warren has new information for us. We'll cover that when we get to the Xbox rumor topic. But yeah, that's going to do it for the Horizon Lego Adventures discussion. I just wanted to throw this in here that this new Horizon game is going day and date on PC. It's a rumor, but it seems like it's going to be true. It's going to be announced tomorrow. I'm going to be streaming Summer Game Fest, so we'll see it revealed together. And I probably will end up playing this game. And I'll just say this before I move on. I probably will end up playing this because I'm not the biggest fan of Horizon. Like, I do like Horizon. It's just not like the first game that comes to mind when I think of my favorite PlayStation Studio titles. I do enjoy Horizon, and I am interested to see where else Guerrilla takes it. I wasn't expecting him to take it in the direction of Lego, but Mrs. MBG loves the Lego games, and so it's interesting. I want to put this out here though, because one of the things we know that PlayStation is trying to achieve is they want to expand their franchises and they want to bring on new people to their franchises. I think this is why they're doing specifically what they're doing with Horizon. I think they're doing it with Horizon first with Lego because Mrs. MBG has had no interest whatsoever in the Horizon games. She just doesn't care about them. And as soon as I told her about this game, Lego Horizon Adventures, she immediately was interested. And she was like, oh, I would play that because she loves the Lego games. I'm like, interesting. So it just makes me wonder, like, how many other people out there that really just haven't had any interest in the traditional Horizon games, now that it's going to be Lego, that, you know, oh yeah, I love the Lego games, I'm going to go play it. Just a little bit of anecdotal evidence there, but especially because it's co-op, that pretty much guarantees I'm going to be playing it with her. All right. The next topic is Concord. And we have new official details from PlayStation, from Firewalk, to go over. We're learning the official price point of the game. We're learning crucial details about what the game will include at that price point. And we're also learning a few other things as well. So before we dive into that, guys, once again, do me a favor. We have over 400 people here watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like button to help the stream out and let me know that you guys are enjoying the show. But we have a blog write-up here from or official PlayStation blog post, I should say. Concord is now available to pre-order, early access, and beta detailed. Learn how you and your friends can be among the first to play Concord as part of our upcoming beta and how to receive early access at launch. This is written up by the Director of Marketing and Operations at Firewalk. Hey everyone, after revealing Concord last week, we're excited to continue unpacking more about the game and answering your questions in the days and weeks ahead, beginning today with more information about how you and your friends can check out our upcoming beta, details on the physical and digital editions of the game for PS5 and PC, and how you can get early access to Concord when it launches in August. From the very beginning, we wanted Concord to be a complete multiplayer-focused experience that combines engaging gameplay, rewarding progression, and a robust roster of characters, maps, and game modes right out of the gate, while also creating a platform for us to evolve and expand the game and the universe over time. When it launches in August, Concord will debut in a standard edition available in both physical and digital versions for $40 US. That provides the full Concord experience, including all 16 playable free gunners, 12 unique maps set on various worlds, and 6 distinct team-based game modes, which will expand shortly after launch with regular post-launch updates for all players at no additional cost. So this is where we're going to start. The game is officially going to be $40, and I'm surprised by that, but also not surprised at the same time. On one hand, I'm surprised that this game is going the route of being not free to play, basically. That is surprising to me. I do think that that's problematic for Concord. On the other hand, I'm not surprised that they're going with a specifically $40 price point because that's what Helldivers 2 cost, and I do start to get this feeling that going forward, this is going to be the set price point for Sony's multiplayer offerings. $40 US. Dark Horse with the $2 super chat saying Concord DOA in my opinion. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in a moment. I'm going to talk about that after I go over all the details. The second thing I want to point out here is they list what you're getting for that $40. So they say it provides the full Concord experience. The full Concord experience means 16 playable free gunners, so 16 unique characters, 12 unique maps set on various worlds, so 12 maps, and 6 distinct team-based game modes, so 6 game modes. And then they also add here at the end, post-launch updates for all players, no additional cost. Now, I want to say the wording of this is interesting to me because they don't say post-launch content. They say post-launch updates. Now, look, I could just be, overthinking this, but I just can't help but wonder if this was worded intentionally. I mean, you're saying updates are content. Yes, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here, and I'm assuming that's absolutely what you mean, because what else could it mean? Maybe they just have to word it this way as to not make people think that there won't be microtransactions. There will clearly be microtransactions in Concord. But I get, my assumption based off of what they're saying is when they release new maps, when they release new characters, that they will be free. Yeah, like Helldivers. That's what I'm thinking they're going for here. But I guess I just find the wording of it interesting, because if that was true, you would think that they would kind of be more specific about it. So that way, again, this game needs any goodwill it can get. But yeah, I don't know. 16 playable free gunners, 12 maps, and 6 game modes for $40. They continue here by saying, alongside the standard edition, we will also have a digital deluxe edition for $60 that includes additional cosmetics to personalize your free gunner crew, and for those eager to jump in and play, early access to Concord when it launches this August. The digital deluxe edition will grant up to 72 hours of early access before Concord's global launch on August 23rd. It also includes the North Star Free Gunners Cosmetic Pack, which grants you 16 North Star themed free gunner outfits, one for each of the 16 playable free gunners at launch. And they're showing a picture here. The outfits look, fine, I guess. They don't look bad. Nothing really stands out to me about them. 72 hours early access. I don't like that. I'm really not a fan of this new trend in modern gaming, where the way that they're going to try to get you to pay $10, $20, sometimes $30 more for a deluxe edition is, oh, you're not interested in the digital items that we're offering. Okay, well, what about playing the game 3 days early? To me, that just seems pretty scummy, because it's like, if you actually put something there that seems worth it to people to pay an extra $10 or $20, that's what you should be focused on. You shouldn't have to throw in 3 days early access as an incentive to get people to, they're preying on the FOMO. And that's what's incredibly ironic to me about seeing it for Concord, is there is no FOMO for Concord. It's like the worst game to do this. I saw that Silent Hill 2 Remake is doing that as well. And I'm incredibly frustrated about that, because I do want to play that game. And I want to buy the game physically. And I am going to buy the game physically and have a physical copy of Silent Hill 2 Remake. But in order to get, if I'm not mistaken, in order to get 48 hours early access, you have to buy the digital deluxe edition. I'm just like, are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. So I'm just going to be, I guess, 2 days late to the game, because I'm going to wait for my physical copy. Digital is the future. Even if that's true, even if digital is the future, I still think there has to be a better way to handle this. I do believe that. MBG, if they want to draw people in, they need to show the game modes and actions so people can make an even better informed decision to buy. As of right now, it is to Overwatch clone. It is an Overwatch clone lookalike. Well, that's why I'm interested in how people are going to respond to the beta. There's actually more information on the beta here that we're going to go over. So the last part of this PlayStation blog write-up says, we're excited for you to meet and learn more about the characters of Concord, including Val, an adept sniper who you saw in our gameplay reveal trailer using her biomechanical legs to leap above the battlefield and land precision shots on enemies, to receive the Monarch Pack cosmetic pack, which includes the Monarch Frontliner outfit for Val and Dead Reckoner weapon for skins for her sniper rifle and sidearm. You can pre-order the standard edition of Concord or purchase the digital deluxe at any time. Oh, you know what? I just realized they're doing the same thing that Silent Hill 2 Remake is doing, where the 72 hours early access is only for the digital deluxe. This is the type of stuff that's really beginning to annoy me, dude. So not only is it bad enough if you like physical media in video games, not only is it bad enough that more and more people are choosing digital and physical is slowly starting to lessen, but now if you actually want to game, if you want to play these games at launch, even for a game like Concord, like you're going to miss out. You have no option except but to go digital to get early access. That is very disappointing, man. Like, it really is. Continues here by saying, seeing Val and the other free gunners in action in gameplay footage is one thing, but there's no substitute for experiencing the game yourself. That's why we're hosting a pre-launch beta simultaneously on PS5 and PC with cross-play support. Those that pre-order will have an opportunity to be among the first to play Concord, and you'll be able to bring your friends. Pre-ordering any edition of Concord will grant you 5 codes for our beta early access weekend in July, allowing you to team up with your friends on PS5 and PC and take on rival crews across the galaxy. Stay tuned for more details about the beta. They put the word beta twice here. About the beta in the coming weeks, including the dates of early access and open beta and more. So that's it. So yeah, if you do pre-order Concord, you are going to get 5 friend codes. Again, this is another huge mistake. And I really don't know what Sony's thinking here. I don't know what Firewalk is thinking. The only thing I can rationalize in my mind is they must really believe they have something special here, because I know that you're saying there's an open beta too. Oh, is that why they said beta? Pre-ordering any edition of Concord will get you 5 codes for our beta early access weekend. Open beta. Okay. All right. I mean, yeah, I guess that's not as bad as I thought. They do say, yeah, they kind of throw that in here at the end. I almost overlooked that. They say open beta and more. So they are planning an open beta. Okay, that's good, because originally I thought they weren't doing an open beta at all. But I do think it would just be better for them, in all seriousness. Like, if they actually if they do believe in this game, I think it would be wiser to just do an open beta from the start, because there's so many people that are not interested in this game, and this game already has so much going against it that if they really want this game to have any possible chance, here's my thought process. Maybe the reason why they're doing a closed beta first is because they know that the people who are going to be playing it first and talking about it first are people who cared enough to pre-order the game. So there's a higher likelihood that they will enjoy it, and maybe there'll be a more positive word of mouth. And maybe what they're hoping is that they can get a positive word of mouth before the open beta. It'll maybe encourage more people to be like, oh, okay, I actually heard it was pretty good. Maybe I'll give it a shot. But when the open beta occurs, I'll probably just give it at least one chance, play it a little bit, see how it feels, and kind of talk to you guys about it. But yeah, I mean, $40, that's going to be tough. I think Concord would struggle no matter what. I think Concord would struggle if it was free to play. I think it's going to struggle at $40. I think it would have struggled if it was more expensive, certainly. But I do think that them not going free to play could be what hurts this game the most. I do think that. Make a poll for Concord. I'll make a poll really quick. All right, so I'm going to just stick with asking you guys if you are going to pre-order Concord now that you know the details, you know the price point, you know what the game is offering, and you get early access to the beta. Let me know. Vote on that poll. We'll check that poll in a little while. You're saying that's how X-Defiant did it, as well as Multiverses, Marvel Rivals, the list goes on. Okay. Yeah, you're probably right. At first I thought they weren't doing an open beta at all, which I thought, okay, I think that's a huge mistake. You need to let people get their hands on this game, but they are doing an open beta. It just turns out that they're going to do it, I guess, after the closed beta. And yeah, you're right. I guess that is kind of the normal trajectory with multiplayer games these days. We have Anonymous Boss here with a super chat saying people on a random sock account hating on Concord. Don't go to MBG telling him it was successful, just like people said Helldivers 2 would flop. Hashtag no Diddy. Well, Anonymous Boss, I'll be honest with you, man. I do think that there is some genuine displeasure, I guess is the word to use, with what people are seeing with Concord. I do think, yes, is there just flat out hate? Yes, but that's something that happens with everything. It really doesn't matter what is announced these days. Like, there's always going to be this small group that hates everything. And that, I think, has been pretty clearly established the past year, right? I mean, that's kind of always been the case, but it's been like even more so the past year. But I do think that there are a lot of, like I said, valid potential criticisms that are being levied towards Firewalk, that are being levied towards Concord, and I just think that to kind of it reminds me of The Last of Us Part 2, where you could not have a mature conversation about The Last of Us Part 2 because it just turned into either you hate the game and you're a hater, or you love it and it's a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. And that always frustrated me because it's like, well, there's a lot more to it than that. And if you actually like read what some rational people are saying, rational people who really like the game, rational people who don't like the game, they actually both make some great points, and it's worth discussing. But there's just too many people that are like, no, it's either great or it's terrible. And it's like, all right, well, I think the same thing is starting to happen with Concord, which I understand why Concord, again, it's going to get a visceral reaction, no doubt about it. But my take on Concord right now, putting the more, emotional aspect, I guess, of it aside, my take on Concord from just a more objective viewpoint is it's clear that Sony believes in it. Sony believed in it enough to buy the studio. It's clear that Sony thinks they have something on their hands. Firewalk is a studio that they could have done anything, and this is what they decided to do. So clearly they believe in it as the development team. And I think the game is going to struggle. Very much so. I think the game is not going to sell very well at all. I think even though it is being priced at $40, it just doesn't have enough going for it right now to encourage people to pre-order, to encourage people to get excited about it. And I do think it has the potential, though, to have a small audience. But whether or not that audience will be big enough to sustain it in the long term, like what we're seeing with something like Helldivers 2, I don't feel confident in that. And so based on what this is based on everything we know about the game. Now, to leave the door open, to be fair about it, nobody has played this game yet. And so I do think that the biggest opportunity that Sony has lies within this beta, because what a lot of people are saying, and I think it's fair, a lot of people are saying, not going to judge Concord until I play it. I'm not going to pass judgment until I play it. And so we're going to see. we're going to see if people are going to come out and play the game and then the conversation just changes. Is that a possibility? It is. I don't think it's a likely one, but it is possible that people get their hands on this game, they play it, and all the things that people are saying about it right now, it's like actually none of that matters because this game feels incredible to play. It's one of the best playing games ever. It's so fun. That could happen, and that could take over. And before you know it, who knows? Concord could be a success. But just based off of everything I'm seeing, because again, I think there are valid criticisms. I've had my own criticisms, and I think some of them are certainly valid. I mean, this gameplay would truly have to be like next level wow. You know, like I've never played anything like this in my life. That's the only thing that I think could help get this game over a massive hurdle, a massive roadblock that currently stands in front of it. Dark Horse, thank you so much, buddy. You decide to re-up your membership. Very much appreciate the support, Dark Horse.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So look forward to some of your exclusive membership perks, buddy. And that brings us up to 6 members on the day. I mean, I was very harsh. You know, my initial gut reaction to Concord was extremely harsh, and I do stand by almost everything I said. I mean, I can't remember every single thing I said because I talked about it for like 4 hours, but I stand by my general sentiment being that I just don't understand how Sony can think that this is the direction they should be going in with their live service, especially after such a success with something like Helldivers 2. This feels kind of like the opposite of Helldivers 2. And Anonymous Boss, to get back to your super chat here, you mentioned Helldivers 2. Listen, I'm in complete agreement that you never know what game is going to take off. Nobody suspected that Helldivers 2 would be the next big thing. But I also want to say that I don't think many people were frustrated or this down on Helldivers 2. That I think is a big difference between Helldivers 2 prior to launch and Concord prior to launch. Is right now, based off of what I'm observing, Concord has a lot more going against it just from a sheer perception standpoint. A lot of people are looking at what they're being shown and they're actively like pushing against it, saying no thank you. With Helldivers 2, I didn't see much of that. I did see a little bit of it, but most of what I saw with Helldivers 2 prior to its launch was a lot of indifference. A lot of like, maybe it'll be good. I don't know. I'm not really into multiplayer games, but nobody was saying this. Nobody was talking about Helldivers 2 the way I'm seeing people talking about Concord. And that to me tells me that, okay, Concord's going to have a harder time. Doesn't mean it can't achieve something. It can. We'll find out. But it seems clear to me it's going to have a hard time. And it'll be interesting to watch the beta roll out and to hear what people have to say about it. And like I said, when the beta goes open and everybody can play it, I'll give it a shot. Just for the sake of it, you know? I've talked about it this much. If it's going to be available for free for me to just try out, why not? And I'll be able to give you my own personal take on I played it, here's what I think. So we'll see. That's actually a very interesting take, Neo. Before I read the rest of these super chats, you're saying one thing that I will say is just how absolutely crazy it is to me that Sony thought that it was okay to make games like God of War Ragnarok and Miles Morales cross-gen, then later to make games like Concord PS5 only. Yeah, I will say Concord does seem like a game that could benefit from being cross-gen. And I say this as somebody who does not want to see any more cross-gen games from Sony. And I am glad in a way that like it's not going to be cross-gen just for the sake of like, okay, can we please move forward? But at the same time, it is interesting to think that these games that would have certainly done very well if they didn't release on PS4. Like, they would have survived easily on just PS5. And then a game that seems like it needs all the help it can get, Sony's like, maybe it is the tech behind it. Yeah, it could just be a situation where they're like, we couldn't get this running on PS4. MBG Concord is not an Overwatch clone. You will see it. You will see in a minute. Tom Henderson is about to leak the game modes. It's an OG arena shooter. Okay. Well, that's it. That'll be interesting. All right, let me get to these super chats. We have Anonymous Boss with another super chat here saying, if the game does well, it's fair. People judging before it's released are teenagers on sock accounts here on the channel stirring console wars. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I will say, Anonymous Boss, that yeah, there's certainly some trolls that show up to the channel from time to time, no doubt about it. Some people saying certain things to just kind of stoke the flame, as it were. But I also will say that a lot of the conversation I'm seeing in the chat, a lot of the super chats I am getting, a lot of the response that I've gotten in my time talking about Concord, I've seen a lot of level-headed takes. You know, I've seen a lot of people just, you know, giving somewhat thought out responses or opinions, and not just, you know, I've also seen people, of course, just, you know, just giving like one word like trash and then whatever. But we'll see what happens, man. I did tell you guys that I would cover Concord when we got new relevant information, and here we are. This is the information today. And I'm looking over at the poll. It has about 260 votes. It's been up for 11 minutes. So far, 79% of you are saying no, you're not pre-ordering Concord. 8% are saying maybe. Only 13% are saying yes. We have Josh here with 2 more super chats. Really appreciate the support, guys. You're saying, as long as they keep signing deals with third-party VR developers to bring games to PlayStation VR 2, I really don't care too much if first party isn't making VR games. Maybe when VR becomes more popular, but can't really expect first party to make VR games, seeing how much of a tight rope it is for regular AAA games. Interesting. That's an interesting point, Josh. Maybe that's the best we could hope for going forward when it comes to PlayStation VR 2, is Sony ensuring that they try to seek out third-party devs who are interested in making PSVR 2 games, because I don't think Sony necessarily is going to abandon PSVR 2 as a kind of platform, because there will be developers, like, no matter what, that are just going to make games that are like, we should just target PSVR 2 because we're making a VR game and it wouldn't be too difficult to just port it over. It might not, you know, it might not be ported or sold to the biggest install base, but yeah, I get where you're coming from, Josh. I do think that this is something Sony can do going forward in order to kind of alleviate the pressure, you know, off of their shoulders. It's like, we're not going to really worry about supporting PSVR 2, but we're going to just seek out developers that are already making, you know, these PSVR 2 compatible games. And we have another direct donation from PS Gamer. He says here, what do you think of the successful launch of Destiny 2: The Final Shape? Do you think Bungie fixed their issue and has better development going into Marathon? Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised to see how well the Final Shape DLC is turning out, to like how well it's being received. I was checking to see if the Final Shape DLC was going to break the all-time concurrent player count on Steam, and I don't think it did, but it got like very, very, very close, and that just tells me that there's a lot more people playing than what we maybe would have originally thought. The conversation leading up to the Final Shape was not a good one. It seemed like Bungie was struggling. Bungie was having issues, and there was all this conversation about how Sony maybe was unhappy with their purchase, but a lot of Bungie fans, a lot of longtime Bungie fans have also told me that Bungie actually produces their best work when they're under pressure. And so, yeah, they had like 350,000, 15,000 concurrent players. So, yeah, I mean, I will say I was definitely wrong. I thought that there was no way Bungie was going to be able to kind of pull off that Hail Mary based off of the reports we were hearing and how tough things were internally and how volatile they were. But it really kind of came down to they do have to kind of pull off this Hail Mary pass. And Sony seems to have a renewed confidence in Bungie because they were saying that over the next year they will become profitable. So I do think that this does bode well for Marathon. All right, we also have Dark Horse here with a super chat saying, as someone who owns a PC, Sony made it hard to consider PSVR 2 as a headset because they disabled every feature that would make it worthwhile to buy. Yeah, I know what's interesting is when I covered that on the last stream, I think I covered this PSVR 2 PC adapter. I guess I just didn't realize how disappointing that would be to PC players, where not only are you getting like pretty much all of the major features disabled, but you also have to buy this adapter. Like you can't just plug it in to your PC. I just didn't think about it. It just didn't hit me that like a lot of people are just not going to be interested in that because you still have to buy the headset, which is expensive. When it's not on sale, it's $550. And then you have to pay $60 for the adapter, and you're paying for that adapter just to have features disabled. So, yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I won't be too surprised if when Sony launches this adapter, it doesn't really do much for PSVR 2. Even though it will allow PSVR 2 to be compatible with PC, I think it will get some support. I think some PC players will buy it, but Shelly, you're saying all the features that PSVR 2 have are not on PC VR. They don't have eye tracking, FOV, or any of those features. It's the norm for them to have VR work the way it does in base. Okay, I didn't know that. Interesting. Okay. Well, so I guess that would explain like maybe it's not necessarily maybe the disappointment lies in that, oh, we could finally get a headset that enables these features. But then it's like, oh wait, it's just going to be the same. You know what I mean? Where like maybe that would have if I'm assuming there's some kind of technical reason why Sony can't get those features working. But if they were to get those features working on PC, maybe that would help it. But yeah, I didn't know that. You're saying that. Is that true? You're saying every VR headset on PC doesn't offer any of those features? I find that hard to believe. Every single one? Maybe the more maybe like the more affordable ones, I don't know, or ones that are in like the same price range. Maybe you're right though. To be honest, I haven't followed VR close enough. Yeah, like the Steam Index. You're telling me the Steam Index doesn't have any of those features? Sony was the first to do foveated rendering. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Interesting. I guess maybe this is what, maybe this is why Sony thought PSVR 2 would do better than it did. Because these features were like kind of, somewhat cutting edge. Steam VR supports eye tracking. Okay. Well, either way, I think it's going to be a tough going. Putting the details aside, I think it's going to be tough going for PSVR 2, and we'll just have to sit back and see how this plays out. Maybe it will find new life on PC. Maybe not. Maybe it'll just truck along with some third-party support. All right, but we are going to move on to the next topic here. So, guys, once again, thank you for being here. As we move on to the next topic, do me a favor and hit that like button to continue to show support for the channel. It definitely helps. We're almost at 150 likes. Let's see if we can get up to 200 likes. That would very much help out the stream quite a bit. The next topic, not going to spend too much time on it, but it's just something that I've seen people talking about, and maybe it's worth just mentioning here and just kind of figuring out why Sony did this. So this is a report from VGC. Sony Interactive Entertainment has quietly updated its PlayStation 5 packaging to remove mention of 8K support. It's unclear precisely when the new packaging was rolled out, but the company launched the PS5 Slim model last November with 8K still on the box, which there's photographic evidence of this. While retailers like Amazon and Walmart are still listing PS5 consoles with the old packaging, none of the various PS5 boxes pictured on Sony's PlayStation Direct store still carry the 8K claim. Sony started branding TVs that support 8K and 120 FPS as PS5 ready as early as July 2020. PS5 is compatible with 8K displays at launch, and after a future system software update, will be able to output resolutions up to 8K when content is available with supported software, Sony said prior to the console's launch in November of 2020. PS5 officially received its first ever 8K 60 FPS game, The Tourist, in October 2021, but Sony never activated 8K output on the console with a system update as originally planned. So, yeah, that's what makes this kind of interesting is people are starting to think that this may end up being a situation where it's like, false advertising. There's going to be a class action lawsuit. I mean, there could be, but Sony will likely be able to find a way out of it. But this was always strange to me, right? Like, I never quite understood why Sony felt like they had to put 8K on the PS5 box. It always kind of read to me as like a little bit desperate. Like, the PS4 Pro has 4K on the box. So if we don't put 8K, people are going to question, why would I buy a PS5 if, I have a PS4 Pro that does the same thing? It's the same thing, right? So like from a marketing perspective, I totally understand why they would do it, but it just seemed pretty silly to me for Sony to ever do this, to ever put an 8K label on their box, because it's like, who's doing anything in 8K? Who's making 8K games? Who's watching content on an 8K screen? Who's making any 8K content at all? And maybe Sony's thought process behind it was, in the next 3 to 4 years, maybe 8K will take off. Dark Horse, you're saying you are? That's quite surprising. That is actually quite surprising. The PlayStation 6 will have 12K on the box. Yeah, and then Sony will remove it halfway through the PS6 generation. You're eyeing an 8K TV. Well, my whole thing is, even if you were to buy an 8K TV, it seems to me like 8K content is so severely limited. Like, it's just so limited. But to me, the thing that really makes this look bad is there was, in fact, an 8K video game released on the PlayStation 5. That video game is called The Tourist. It released on October 2021. It runs at 8K 60 FPS. However, based off of VGC's reports, Sony never activated 8K output on the console. So this is why I think people might be kind of looking at this and thinking, like, Sony, did you just like falsely advertise this? If I had to guess, Sony probably just realized that, is it worth the time and investment to bring out this 8K update if there's no 8K content? The answer is probably no. Like, it's not worth it. Let's just remove it from the box. But again, I think this is pretty much a non-issue ultimately, because I just don't know how many people walking the planet right now bought a PS5 specifically because of that 8K logo. You know what I mean? Like, oh wow, this is that 8K console, I'm going to buy it. I feel like probably nobody, right? I mean, maybe there's like 2 or 3 people on the planet that did that, and maybe they're upset, but I just think that this was a nonsensical thing from the start. Hopefully Sony learns from it. You know, somebody made a joke a moment ago about the PlayStation 6 is going to have 12K on the box. I hope Sony learns from this and is like, you know, don't, like, only put it on the box if it can do it out of the box. You know what I mean? So, like, if the PlayStation 6 is going to do 8K output, make sure it can do 8K from day one. You know what I mean? Make sure it can do it. Don't sit there and market it as 8K and then be like, oh, yeah, we're going to have an update in the future. And then that update never comes. And then before you know it, you got to awkwardly, quietly remove it from the box. And before you know it, there's a whole day of outrage where people suddenly care that 8K, they care about 8K. But I just thought that the story was kind of interesting because it seems that Sony does actually care about 8K. You know, they obviously produce TVs, but there were reports that claim that in the long run, with like the PlayStation 6 and beyond, Sony is targeting, or they plan to target, like 8K resolutions. And even in the, I mean, I don't know, in the next like decade or something, 8K 60 FPS. So, yeah, maybe they took it off the box because they're like, yeah, we got to save this for the PlayStation 6. Fred, you're saying MBG, I find it funny that Xbox still has it on their boxes. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know who's buying these consoles because of an 8K logo. It's too soon. It's too soon. That's my take on it. I just don't think it's necessary. I don't think I've ever seen 8K content, by the way, ever. Like, I don't think I even know what 8K looks like. I mean, 4K looks very good to me. 4K is like native 4K is extremely crisp, extremely sharp. So when I think of 8K, like I feel like it, you know, the law of diminishing returns starts to kick in, right? Mrs. MBG seems to think that it's Sony removed 8K from the PS5 box because they're going to slap it on the PS5 Pro box. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, we're thinking about the PlayStation 6, but maybe that's exactly why Sony did it. They're like, you know what? We will have that 8K update, but we're going to save it for the PS5 Pro. I hope not. Again, that would be so ridiculous to me where it's like, Sony, look, man, I know you want to sell that PS5 Pro, but you can't. Why would you put 8K on that? Who's going to buy a PS5 Pro for 8K? A PlayStation 6 makes a lot more sense to me. Movies are shot with 8K or 12K cameras, but after compression, it comes down to 4K. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Shelly says, Mrs. MBG is right. Well, actually, sorry, the PS5 can't really do 8K, but the PS5 Pro can now. Awkward. Oh, Stumpkin X, is that true? The new skate game's going to be at Summer Game Fest? Oh, sweet. If that's true, my excitement for Game Fest just went up quite significantly because I want to see more skate. We have an anonymous boss here with a super chat saying PlayStation 6 16K cats. Well, I mean, you have a cat laughing here, but 16K baby and remaster baby steps. Game of the year, game of the generation. We need a 16K PlayStation 6 remake of Baby Steps. Sony, if you could get on that, thanks. But yeah, just wanted to briefly address that topic because I thought it was just kind of random and Sony just really didn't acknowledge it. So we'll see if that 8K logo pops up on the PS5 Pro or maybe on the PlayStation 6 in the future. But the next topic we're talking about is a couple of rumors about the Xbox Showcase. The Xbox Showcase is happening this Sunday. I will be streaming it. But we're learning some new details. So there's a report here from VGC. Says this weekend's Xbox Game Showcase could run for 2 hours and include 30 games, it's been claimed. That's according to Giant Bomb reporter Jeff Grubb, who was speaking about the event on Wednesday's Kinda Funny Gamecast. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the numbers I'm hearing is about 2 hours and about 30 games. And at least a handful are those are games that we've never heard of before. This is what he said. So it says it's going to take place on June 9th. The Xbox Game Showcase will be the first such event to include titles from Xbox Game Studios, Bethesda, and Activision Blizzard. I think there will be about 5 games that we haven't heard about before, and that's from across all of their verticals, Jeff Grubb said, before going on to tease the showing for BioWare's Dragon Age. So, before I go any further, what do you guys think of this? Xbox Showcase happening on Sunday, 2 hours, 30 games. Half of those games apparently are going to be new. What are you guys thinking of this? My thoughts on this is... My thoughts on it are Microsoft's doing what Sony should be doing, but Sony isn't doing it. Microsoft's stepping up here. They're going to have a 2-hour showcase. Like if you're an Xbox fan, there's no denying that you got a pretty big, meaty show to tune into. And I have to admit, as a PlayStation player, I'm pretty jealous. I won't lie. Like, Microsoft is doing precisely what I hoped Sony would do. Like, if Sony came out and said, we're going to do a showcase that's 2 hours long. Now, here's the thing, though, I will say. I think Call of Duty, the big Call of Duty showcase that they're doing right after the actual Xbox event, I think that's, contributing to... you would hope that's contributing to the 2 hours. Because if not, you're looking at like a 2.5 hour show, which is too long, I think. Microsoft's going to bring the hype when Sony didn't. You know what? It's weird because, like, I mean, it's not that I would expect Microsoft to go, like, with a smaller show. It wouldn't make much sense for them to do that because they simply have too many studios, too many games. Check out the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit. All right, hold on. Let me go check now. Yeah, apparently there's a couple things that I'm missing out on here. Hold on. Give me 1 second here, guys, to... Microsoft is going to remaster Halo Combat Evolved again and is considering a PS5 release, says new report. Whoa. Well, that escalated very quickly. That escalated really quickly. That's coming from Insider Gaming. I think. Boss, you gotta go, bro. All right, so I have a report here. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Is that Insider Gaming reporting on The Verge? So we have a report here from The Verge, from Tom Warren. What's next for Xbox and Halo? The last 6 months have been turbulent for Xbox. Microsoft started the year by laying off 1,900 Activision Blizzard and Xbox employees, then announced 4 in-house games would drop their exclusivity and ship on PS5 and Nintendo Switch. More recently, the company shut down 3 game studios, including Tango Gameworks, maker of the award-winning and widely praised Hi-Fi Rush. The moves have rattled fans. Hardcore Xbox customers are upset that exclusives are available on rival consoles, with many wondering why they should continue to invest in the Xbox ecosystem when Microsoft is shutting down studios and its games are appearing on rival platforms anyway. Sunday's Xbox Game Showcase is a chance for Microsoft to try and get fans excited about the future again. I'm expecting 2 big game reveals, a lot of release dates, and some surprises along the way. At the heart of all the turmoil leading up to this Xbox showcase are strategy shifts for both hardware and first-party games. Microsoft has promised a big technical leap. You gotta stop. You gotta go. At the heart of all the turmoil leading up to the Xbox showcase are strategy shifts, for both hardware and first-party games. Microsoft has promised a big technical leap for its next-gen Xbox, and the company is rumored to be working on an Xbox handheld. But there's an ongoing project to bring more games to rival consoles like PS5 and Nintendo Switch that could undermine both hardware efforts. The plan that's proven so controversial with hardcore Xbox fans is known internally as Project Latitude. Sources familiar with Microsoft's efforts tell me. Project Latitude started off with an initial wave of games including Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Sea of Thieves, and Grounded heading to PS5, with some going to the Nintendo Switch, but the plan extends beyond these 4 games and into some titles that might surprise Xbox fans. Wait, what? That's it? That's the end of the article? Am I missing something? Oh, wait. Okay. I need to subscribe. Okay, I didn't know that. Damn. Yeah, I didn't realize it was paywalled. All right, let me go check Insider Gaming then. Well, here we go. There's actually a list of bullet points here. Halo Combat Evolved Remaster is in early development. It's being considered for PS5. Fable, Gears 6, and South of Midnight are not part of Project Latitude. They are not currently being considered for porting. Expects to see them at the showcase with 2025 dates for Midnight and Fable. The new Doom game is day 1 on PS5. Well, that doesn't really... I mean, I guess the big scoop here would be Halo Combat... another remaster of Halo Combat Evolved being considered for PS5. I guess that would be the big scoop. We have Edward Jordan, a member for 32 months, says Halo with DualSense support is wild, LOL. W, though. Tell me Bungie isn't laughing somewhere right now. Perfect Dark will be on PlayStation. You think so? You think Perfect Dark is going to be on PlayStation? Yeah, it is important to note that they're saying they're considering it. So there's a chance they might not. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Microsoft's going to have to address some of this rather than just keeping it up in the air. Microsoft does have a good opportunity with the upcoming showcase to just flat out say, like, here's what we're doing now. You know, we released these 4 games on PlayStation 5. We learned what we needed to learn, and here's what we're going to do now going forward. Because there still seems to be this kind of like, is it going to be the whole slate? Is it going to be all of them? Is it going to just be on a case-by-case basis? It's so weird to me that, like, oh yeah, we're not bringing Fable to PS5, but we're going to bring a Halo, like, we're considering bringing a Halo Combat Evolved second remake or whatever to PS5. Like, to me, Fable's way less inconsequential, you know? Or way more inconsequential, I guess is the way to say that, than you know what I mean? Like, than Halo. So I don't know. There's just, I still just, every time we get these reports from Microsoft, it feels like it conveys to me the same thing over and over again, which is they just don't know what they're doing yet. Like, they're still trying to figure it out. Like, they're still trying to decide, like, do we want to do this? Do we want to put that game? You know what I mean? Like everything's just kind of up in the air, and they're trying to nail everything down. Because every time we get a new report, I feel like I'm learning something, kind of, but it also conveys very much like, but maybe not, you know? Dark Horse, a member for 6 months, says, you have to be careful Tom used considering he likes to hide behind that. Well, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, there was a job listing from 343 Industries that was discovered a couple months ago that said they're working on a new project, and it says it was targeting like multiple platforms. So, they could have just meant Xbox and PC, but the timing of it was interesting. I remember people were kind of holding on to that and being like, oh, well, maybe they're talking about PS5 as well. Saying he did it with Indie. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just kind of at a point where I don't think I care anymore. Like, obviously, I care enough to report on it and let you guys know, but it's just like, Microsoft, if you want to bring Halo to PlayStation, go for it. If not, I don't care. like if you want to bring Gears, bring Gears. If you don't, that's cool. I just feel like this is all I can really say at this point, because I think they're just in this kind of, they're in this current point, I guess, where they're like, like, the Larry David meme when he's like standing in the parking lot and he's like, I feel like that's Microsoft right now. Like, all right, well, when you decide, you just let us know. But I will say this, if they were to bring Halo in any way, shape, or form, if they were to bring Halo in any way, shape, or form to PlayStation, I think it would sell very well. I think they'd make a lot of money off of that. MBG, if Xbox needs to do anything, it is to rip the lid off the message and just tell people what their plans are. Too many softening the blows create less willingness to buy an Xbox. Yeah, I can agree with that at this point in time. Maybe that's what they're planning on doing. Because I feel like back in February when they first started talking about this, it just kind of came off as like, yeah, we're just testing the waters and we really don't know yet. We'll see. And all the games have released. Now that the showcase is happening, this would be a good time for them to, like you're saying, just rip the Band-Aid off. Like, are you going in or not? Which is it? Or they could just keep doing this if they want, but I just don't think I don't think what they're doing with this kind of back and forth or indecisiveness, I don't think it's helping them. I do think it's starting to work against them. Yeah, I agree. It does seem like a hard balancing act. I'm very much getting the vibe that they are just like, look, we're going to take it on a case by case basis. And I do think that that's a tough one because, I mean, I don't know, like if you're an Xbox player, right? It's like, oh man, Halo might be going to PlayStation, but Gears isn't. Gears 6 isn't. So I don't know. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Microsoft could just treat PlayStation 5 the same way that PlayStation treats PC. That's what we could see from them, where it's like, we're going to sell as many copies on our platform, on our console. And then as soon as the sales kind of like peak and then drop, then we'll bring it over to PlayStation 5. But I don't know. The thing is, I feel like if they do that like consistently with every game, then I feel like it's just going to make people be like, all right, I'll just buy a PS5 and then just wait. You know what I mean? And we have a $50 super chat from Leo Jimmy. Thank you so much for that, buddy. I'm going to read that in just a moment. I need to make sure I don't miss Ryan Thomas here. He says, what does Microsoft remastering Halo again do for them? It has to be coming to PlayStation. Game has been re-released like 5 times now. Yeah, I will say that to me does seem like a potential dead giveaway, because you're right. Like, they have done a lot with Halo, like the first Halo game at this point, and one of the only ways I think that they could really justify another remaster is, but we're bringing it to PlayStation this time. You know what I mean? Like that. Wait, hold on. How many times did they remaster or remake or re-release Halo? You're saying there's only one, but I don't know. They had. Wait, is there? They only did it one time? I thought that there was an original Halo 1 remaster, and then they did another one for the Master Chief Collection, or maybe I'm misremembering. The 10th anniversary? Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, the fact that they are doing it again, it could just be they just want to have something ready to go for like the next gen Xbox, or yeah, I don't know. Maybe they are bringing it to PS5. But we have Leo Jimmy here with a very generous $50 super chat. Leo, thank you so much for that, buddy. You're saying here, MBG Money, what's up? I have a gripe. Me and my friends have been arguing over this gen. They think it's not better than PS3. I'm like, this gen, I can't keep up with all the games that come out. I still haven't beat Elden Ring 400 hours. Oh man. 400 hours in Elden Ring, still haven't beaten it. That's I could understand. Yeah, I could see that being a possibility. I mean, it's pretty extreme, but I did beat Elden Ring. And it's funny that you bring up Elden Ring because I actually played it again for the first time today in, I guess, a couple of years, which is crazy to think. And oh man, let me tell you, it was as overwhelming as I expected it to be. I was like sitting there after downloading Elden Ring, like, do I really want to do this? And I was very nervous. I'm like, this game is overwhelming. And when I booted it up, I couldn't even remember how to two-hand my weapon, dude. It took me like 30 minutes to figure out how to two-hand my weapon. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be a process. So what I did was I went to my like grind spot. I guess it's near do you guys know where that place is? It's one of those like really hard bosses. Is it Moog? Is that his name? I don't know. I know that there was a spot where I basically grinded like crazy, and you just kill a bunch of these like almost like toad frog weird looking things, and you just get like a bunch of soul runes. And I just went to the spot and I just grinded so I could level up and just trying to like refamiliarize myself with the feel of the game, the combat, and I'm trying to get ready for the DLC. I don't know. The chicken farm? Is that what it's called? I did kill Moog, yes. But to answer your question, Leo, I did beat Elden Ring. I beat it a while ago. I barely beat it, though. I definitely needed to be carried with the final bosses in Elden Ring, and I did not get very good. So now I'm trying to basically over-level my character so that way when I enter the DLC, I might stand a chance. But something tells me that I'm going to sit here and I'm going to grind forever just to find out that you still need some skill, bro. And yeah. Tell him how you beat the game with the help of Jesus. Oh yeah, I did. In one of the final bosses, I got stuck on. I kept summoning people in, and no matter how many times I summoned people in, I forget the name of the boss, but it was like it was the second or third to last boss, and I couldn't beat him, man. No matter how many times I summoned people in, no matter how many tries, I just was about to give up. And then there was this one time I summoned this guy. His name was Jesus, and he looked like Jesus. It was me, Jesus, and another one of my friends, and that was the round where we actually defeated the boss. And I was like, no way. So I literally needed the help of Jesus to get through this game and complete it. And I mean, I feel proud that I beat it. I'm not like necessarily proud in how I beat it, but I'm just proud to be able to say I beat Elden Ring. I made it through. Yeah, it's a very cool story. Leave it to Elden Ring to manufacture a gameplay story like that. But to get to the first part of your super chat where you're saying you are kind of arguing with your friends about this generation, they think it's not better than the PS3, and you're saying you don't agree because you can't keep up with all the games. Yeah, I do think this is nostalgia that might be impacting your friends' viewpoint. I think it might be the nostalgia factor because I think the PS3 is old enough now, and also depending on how old your friends were when the PS3 came out, it's old enough now to where I think it's easy to just overlook all of the bad that came with the PS3 and just simply have that nostalgic good feeling of the things that you enjoyed. But the actual reality is the PS3 gen was disastrous for the first couple years. And I think maybe the one good thing about the PS3 gen, and this is maybe what people remember so fondly, is Sony was in such a position of desperation. Like, they were so desperate. The only way they could claw their way back was they had to just lean in completely with the hardcore fan base. And that might be why some people, look back at the PS3 and are like, I think it was better, because the communication was constant. Sony was constantly communicating with the fans, constantly just firing on all cylinders with, at least trying to with fanfare. And they did this because they knew like they really messed up. And that was what they were going to need to do to turn things around. So from that perspective, I can understand why people would think that generation was better. But more objectively speaking, when it comes to just the amount of games and the amount of support, like the amount of games that Sony has launched on the PS5, like from their own studios or partner studios this gen so far, I mean, basically wipes the floor with it. There's really no comparison. But again, the PS3 was a gen where we did get a lot of new IP. We did see Sony taking more risks, and I do think we are going to see that. I do think it's taking a little bit longer. But I'm in agreement with you, Leo. Like, I do feel like this generation, it's a tough one, because on one hand, I do feel like this generation has some serious weaknesses that are not good. And I think we will look back and we will identify those weaknesses, and we will realize that, it could have been a lot better in some ways. And I think a lot of people are identifying some of those weaknesses right now and just very much latching on to those weaknesses. But I do think it has had some strengths as well. The real question for me at this point in time with this generation is simple. It's, will Sony deliver in the way that we've come to expect during the second half of this generation? That's the question I have, because we can say this about the PS3 generation, is regardless of how disastrous the first couple years of the PS3 was for Sony, they delivered in the second half of the PS3 generation in a big way. The PS4 generation wasn't disastrous, but we can say the same thing. Sony delivered in a huge way with the second half of the PS4. And so we are just at that point now where we are entering the second half, and this should be, the beginning of seeing how the second half of the gen is going to unfold. And, we're in the middle of 2024, so we still have time, but that's the real question I have. And my hope is that they will deliver. I don't know that Concord is going to be the game to do it, but hey, there's Astrobot. And my question is, what comes after Astrobot? We know there's Death Stranding 2. We know there's Wolverine. But what else? We know that they're cooking. So we're going to find out. But Leo, Jimmy, once again, man, just want to give you a big thanks for dropping a $50 super chat like that. I very much appreciate the support, buddy. And that goes for everybody who's been supporting the channel. Thank you guys for the fan funding. It really is vital. We have the Combo Clinic, longtime member for 42 months, saying, if you are a PlayStation fan, you want Xbox to have an amazing showcase. If they do, Sony's next PS5 showcase has to match or even surpass it. Because if not, PR-wise, it's going to get really spooky, LOL. I could not agree more, Combo Clinic. I could not agree more. Like, I am rooting for Microsoft more than I ever have with this showcase. And I know it's kind of ironic because there are some people going into the Xbox showcase where they're like, well, this is basically going to be a PlayStation showcase, low key as well. And it could be. It really depends on how many third-party games they show. But it also, like, for example, apparently Metal Gear Solid Delta is going to be there. Like, for me, okay, yeah, that's pretty huge. I can't wait to see that. But there's also, oh yeah, Doom's going to release on PS5 as well. It's like, oh, okay, I kind of didn't expect that. And it just makes you wonder, like, what else might come to PS5? So there's definitely reason for PS5 players to tune in to the Xbox showcase. But I agree with you. I hope Microsoft rattles Sony's cage, is what I hope. I don't know that they're going to. I mean, we have to see what they're going to bring to the table. But I want to see Sony get shook. I do. Not like, to a point where they're like, their backs against the wall. Not, you know what I mean? I want to see Sony a little bit nervous because, I'm watching their business update and it's like, I get it. You're a corporation. You got to think about the profit margins. You got to think about the sustainability. You have to do what you have to do. You can't just PlayStation cannot just go around reacting. If PlayStation just went around constantly reacting to everything going on around them, it would be terrible. They need to have their own plan, their own course, their own trajectory. But at the same time, we can't see them go too far in that direction where we can't see them become completely unreactionary, where it doesn't matter what Microsoft's doing. We don't care what anybody's doing. We're just going to stay the course no matter what. Because I feel like if they do that, they run the risk of just kind of having that tunnel vision. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that if Microsoft has a 2-hour showcase and they knock it out of the park, I mean, they really gain a significant amount of momentum because they just have a show it's that good. They show that many good games. They're completely sucking up the oxygen out of the room. Everybody forgot about Sony's State of Play. Literally nobody's talking about Concord or maybe even Astrobot at that point. I would like to see that because Sony will have to contend with that. Like, Sony will have to be like, wait, hold on. We can't have that now. And it's sad because I would have thought that Sony wouldn't need that. But here's something else I want to bring up. We have no idea what this new Sony looks like. I've been seeing a lot of negativity towards PlayStation the past 2.5 weeks or so, especially since the State of Play. And I understand it completely. I get it. I understand all this negativity. I understand where it comes from. I understand why people have the mentality and the perception that they do. But the one thing that I'm realizing no one seems, or at least very few people seem to be considering here, is that everything you're talking about is under the old leadership. Everything. The State of Play. I know that might shock some people, but that State of Play was happened prior to the new leadership actually being promoted. Everything people are reacting to right now is from the previous leadership. And so June 1st is when Herman Hulst and Hideaki Nishino took over. And I guess what I'm trying to say is we don't know what PlayStation is going to do. We don't know what the communication is going to be like. We don't know what the events are going to be like. We don't know if there will be fanfare or not. We don't know anything. It's a new start. It's a fresh start. And my hope is that, okay, well, the new leadership went into effect on June 1st. That's smack dab in the middle of the year. When we look at everything that happened between January and June, that's the old leadership. That's the Hiroki Totoki / Jim Ryan final goodbye. I'm wondering I'm not wondering, but what I do know is between June 1st and January 2025, for the rest of this year, That's all new leadership. Every decision, every communication. So like right now, what we just had communicated to us with Concord, that's new leadership. Take that as you will. Herman's vision is a million Horizon projects. Yeah, dude, it's like Herman Hulst ruins PlayStation by just completely converting everything to Horizon. His bias got the best of him, bro. But yeah, which CEO has more power? Well, that depends on your view of the PlayStation brand. It depends on what is the most important thing to you. If the console and the platform itself is the most important thing to you, then Hideaki Nishino has more power and will have more of an impact on you as a fan. If the games and the studios are what's most important to you, and the software is what's most important to you, then Herman Hulst will have the biggest impact. But I think it's safe to say that all PlayStation fans care about both of those things to a certain extent. So they probably, I would say, have an even distribution of power, essentially, with the decisions that they could make and how it will impact us. Perfect Image with another $2 super chat saying Xbox has been doing that since Doom. Why? I guess you're saying, like, why don't people get that? Perfect Image, if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying Doom was always multi-platform. So why would anybody expect it not to be this time around? I think that's because, well, I mean, Microsoft had this kind of approach with Bethesda where they showed a willingness to do exclusivity. And they did say it would be on a case-by-case basis. So, I don't know. I was under the assumption that the next Doom could be exclusive. But I did always kind of leave that door open of like, but maybe not. So, that's the question, though, isn't it, Perfect Image? Is Doom coming to PS5 because of a shift in strategy, or was Doom always going to come to PS5? The truth is, we don't know. We do not know. Unless Microsoft tells us themselves, like, hey, we were going to make it exclusive, but we decided not to. Or unless they say, oh, no, we were always going to bring it to PS5. I don't know if they're going to address that. I will say the timing of it is interesting. That's what I will say. The timing of, oh, look at that. New Doom also coming to PS5. That's occurring around the same time that Microsoft is having a change in strategy. So it could just be a coincidence, but maybe not. A lot of internal politics. We also have Isaac Adrian with the $5 super chat. Thank you for that, buddy. Saying, didn't Herman green light Wolverine? Yes. The truth is, we already have a very good idea of what Herman Hulst has done. Because here's a question I have that Sony didn't answer, and I don't know that we're going to get an answer to it. The question is simply, what changes for Herman Hulst? Because he was already the head of PlayStation Studios since 2019. So I guess the assumption there is all of the decisions we've seen with PlayStation Studios, that's all Herman Hulst. Saying more power for what exactly, though? I mean, I guess it's going to be hard to determine that. It seemed like he had the power to kind of already greenlight or not greenlight certain games. No, I don't think CEOs have less power. Obviously not. I'm just trying to, like, I guess I'm trying to imagine what decision could Herman Hulst make now that he's the CEO of PlayStation Studios business group or business sector. What decision could he make now that he otherwise couldn't previously, that would need to be given to Jim Ryan to make? Studio purchases? Maybe. Yeah, that's a possibility. Herman will have to report to Chairman Totoki. That is true. Overlord Totoki. Keeping an eye on Herman. And we have Corey the Legend Landiga coming in, dropping 5 more memberships for you guys. Corey, bro, thank you for the 5 bomb, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You just brought us up to 11 members on the day. Although it says we're at 7, I think that's incorrect. I think it counted one of these membership milestones. But yeah, we're currently at 11 members. Really appreciate it, Corey. Boss is saying it was for me. Yeah, he clearly... That's the position Boss gets in when he's like... I guess he's starting to feel like it's getting close to snack time. I noticed that recently. But yeah, I would assume that Herman Hulst is the one who greenlit Wolverine, and I mean, look, I still have a general belief in Herman Hulst. I think he has a lot of pressure with managing PlayStation Studios because it's not easy, and it's a lot of studios to manage for one person. So I'm just really interested to see what this new era looks like. And we have Fred ADHD Vance coming in, dropping some membership gifts of his own. He drops another 5 bomb for you guys. So we got back-to-back 5 bombs from Corey Landiga and Fred Vance.
Kept you waiting, huh?
Yes. Yes. Yes, boss. We're keeping you waiting. Thank you for that, Fred. You just brought us up to 16 members on the day. So we're very close, guys. We are less than 10 memberships away from hitting our goal for the day. So Fred sets up the 10 bomb. If anybody wants to drop that 10 bomb, feel free to do so. We also have OK here with a super chat saying, keep up the great work, MBG. The next 4 years in gaming will be historical. They will set the tone for the decades to come. Interesting. Yeah, I appreciate that, OK. I'll do my best. I'll keep doing the best I can here. I hope you're right, dude. I hope you're right. Like, I do get this feeling that we are at an inflection point right now. Not just with PlayStation, but as an industry. But obviously, PlayStation's a major part of that. So I do kind of get that feeling. And Corey does it, man. Corey does the heavy lifting. He drops a 10 bomb on you guys. We know why Corey dropped that 10 bomb. We all know. He wants to feed the beast. He wants to feed the beast. By the way, I did see some people asking for some Boss merch. And I have to ask a question before I feed Boss here his snacks. So there is Boss merch. It's him. It's a profile shot of Boss, but he looks like Big Boss. He's got the bandana, the mullet, the eye patch. Are you guys trying to tell me that you just straight up want Boss merch? Like you just want a shirt with a picture of Boss on it, unedited? I need to figure these things out. I need to figure this out. Shems, that's taking things a bit too far, buddy. So, some streamers would do that. I'm not going to do that. MBG's becoming Konami. Oh my God, you're right. That's so funny. I love that joke. Who decided to buy Firewalk and Haven? Did Holst recommend Ryan? Yeah, that's a great question, Swift Guyver. Those are questions that we're not going to have the answers to. Like, did Jim Ryan say, like, we need to buy Firewalk? Yes, we're going to buy Firewalk. We're going to buy Haven. And maybe Holst was like, yeah, they're good, but I don't know. I don't know. Somebody was doing something less here, though. Like, I don't know. Maybe Herman was doing most of the heavy lifting, and Jim was just like, okay. Like, maybe Jim didn't really do anything. He's just like, sure. I don't know. I really don't know. Poison Ivy glass bottle, $30. All right, let me update the member goal. We are now sitting at 26 members, thanks to all of you guys dropping some membership gifts. Corey with that 10 bomb. We still do have more topics to go over and discuss here, though, so hang tight. All right, let's feed the beast.
Boss, do you read me? It's time to feed the beast.
It's time, boss. I'm going to rain some snacks down on you. Oh, that was a bit much. Oops. Don't want to give him like a bellyache or anything like that. There you go, man. All right. Let's see where we are here. But yeah, okay, just to get back to your super chat, man. I do think you're correct in that we're gonna see the tone set for like maybe potential decades to come. But my question is, does that happen this year or does that happen next year? Or are we still gonna have to wait a little bit longer for that? Because I do get that feeling. Like, I do feel like we are at that point where major changes need to occur and are occurring, but the communication isn't quite there yet. Boss has eaten half his daily calories in the last hour, and will be fed twice with cat food today. Oh well, that's too much food. No. I don't feed him twice with cat food. I feed him once. I don't. And when I feed him, so when I give him his wet food, I give him half a can of wet food. I don't even give him the whole can. And I've been doing this because, yes, I've been giving him a lot of treats and a lot of snacks. So in order to make sure that I'm not overfeeding him, I've been like more precisely measuring out how much wet food, how much dry food I'm giving him so as not to, again, overfeed. I think he's looking good. All right, so we are going to move on to the next topic. You're saying slow down with the snacks? I mean, I don't know. I looked at the ingredients in these snacks. I'm like, these seem. I don't think they're actually bad for cats. Like, they seem pretty good. Search organ meat. Lots of cat food is full of grain and sugar. Like, I never really thought about that. Yeah, because cats really just need like a carnivore diet. You know what? Yeah, that's probably what makes these snacks relatively unhealthy for cats. They probably do have some grain and sugar in them. But yeah, I think Boss is pretty healthy, man. He seems good to me. But let's see. We're going to move on to the next set of topics here. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Excuse me, with the Xbox showcase topic. I'm going to check the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit one more time just to see if anything else popped up. Doesn't look like it. So Starfield. Wait, hold on. I did miss something. Okay, this was actually updated with more information. So let me read this to you guys one more time. This is an update on Project Latitude. That is Microsoft's multi-platform ambition. Microsoft isn't going full multi-platform and still plans on having exclusives. So that's one of the major things we're learning from Tom Warren. That wasn't there originally. I guess somebody actually paid for the article and read the whole thing. According to Tom Warren, Microsoft is not going full multi-platform and still plans on having exclusives. So, okay. Hellblade 2, Age of Empires, Age of Mythology, and Starfield still under consideration for porting. And then we talked about how Halo Combat Evolved, a remaster, is in early development. It's being considered for PS5. Fable, Gear 6, and South of Midnight are not part of Project Latitude, not currently being considered for porting. And okay, so it seems like those were the only two updates that we were given here. Is Microsoft is still planning on having exclusives. Hellblade 2, Age of Empires, Age of Mythology, and Starfield are still under consideration. I guess it doesn't change much. This is so messy, though, man. I will just end this topic by reiterating what I said a little while ago, and that is I really think Microsoft needs to wrangle this in and get their communication down pat, because at least when it comes to this, because these constant reports of they are going exclusive or they are doing exclusives. Wait, no, they're actually not. Oh, wait, hold on. Some of these games are, but not these. I just think the easiest way Microsoft could communicate this would just simply be to say, it's all going to be on a case-by-case basis, and you'll find out. That's basically what we're being told through all of these articles, but Microsoft themselves seem to not, I don't know. I guess I have to consider that they probably are looking at the data. They're looking at the data from Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves launching on PS5 and stuff like that, and Pentiment and whatnot. They're probably looking at that data, and now we're probably going to get some more clear communication, I would assume. Like, it was reported earlier in the year that Indiana Jones is going to release on PS5. And it's like, has anything changed? Like, is that true? Are they actually doing that? I don't know. You're saying, isn't that what Phil Spencer said, though? I mean, he did. He did. Yeah, to be fair, like, he did say that. It's just that I just don't know. I don't know why there's so many conflicting reports. Like, that's what confuses me. I would have thought that by now it would have been a little bit more clear, like, what's going on, but it still seems like it's up in the air. MBG Nate Drake just said that the games list is outdated and even more games are being considered for PlayStation. That's very, you see what I'm saying? Boss looks like he's up to no good back there. He needs some whey protein now. There's no way he's going to knock my glasses off. Boss. Hey. See, look at him, though. Look at Boss. I think he looks healthy, man. He looks beastly. You're saying because of clicks. Yeah. Didn't think about that. It's probably the most obvious answer. Because of clicks. Well, even right now, we just got a new report from Tom Warren from The Verge where he's revealing what is apparently supposed to be new information about Project Latitude. But now we have another insider coming out, Nate Drake, and saying, actually, no, that list isn't updated. That's not the updated list. There are more games than that being considered for PlayStation. And so it really is just like, okay, I guess. We'll just have to wait for Microsoft. Okay, what is this, Boss? What is he doing? I don't even think Boss knows what he's doing. This cat, man. All right. I want to go see where Nate Drake said this. Antonio, can you refer me to where Nate Drake revealed this info? Because I just want to make sure I have as many... Yeah, I'm seeing the reports pop up on Twitter. A lot of reports saying that Halo Combat Evolved a remastered version is in early development, possibly coming to PS5. That's coming up everywhere. Corey says, Boss is thinking to himself, I'll see if I can lift. He did look like he was trying to lift something. He's in alert mode right now. Antonio, you're saying, ABG, these are high-level decisions, and I'm assuming there's a ton of game of telephone going around. He said on Reset Era, but he's having a podcast tonight, although he said the multi-plat talk isn't going to be lengthy. Okay. Yeah, you're probably right. There's probably, it's just like a big game of telephone happening right now. It's such a weird time for the industry, man. Really is. But all right, we'll leave it there for now. We do have the Xbox showcase happening on Sunday. I'm going to be doing the next episode of Press X podcast on Sunday. So that will obviously take up the majority of it. The Xbox showcase is going to happen at 1 p.m. Eastern time for me. So that's an hour after I start my streams. I start my streams at 12 p.m. Eastern. So on Sunday, I'll go live at 12. We'll do our like hour-long predictions, expectations, and then we'll go watch the show. It's going to be like 2 hours long. And so yeah, Sunday will be all about the Xbox showcase. We'll see what's going on. And we'll just leave it here for now. I will be streaming Summer Game Fest tomorrow as well, although it's not going to be like an episode of Press X podcast. We're going to stream that and react to it together. So be sure to tune in for that. But we still have a couple of topics here to discuss. The next topic in line, and before we do that, guys, I just want to ask one more time to please hit that like button. We're sitting at 200 likes. Let's see if we can bump that up to 225. Helps the streams tremendously. So tomorrow for the Summer Game Fest stream, for me, it starts at 5 p.m. Eastern, which is a later stream for me. So I'll probably go live at like 4:30 p.m. Eastern or 4:45. But this next topic I do find interesting because there's been a lot of conversation about Silent Hill 2 Remake. There seems to be a lot of discourse surrounding Silent Hill 2 Remake, and we're learning something about the development of the game that I think is pretty important to acknowledge and highlight, and might change our opinion, at least slightly, on some of the decisions that Bloober Team has made with Silent Hill 2 Remake. So I have a report here from PlayStation Lifestyle. It says Konami's Motoi Akamoto, I don't know if I said his name correctly, has revealed that Silent Hill 2's original developers wanted Bloober Team to make more drastic changes in the remake, but Blooper Team pushed back. Akamoto, who joined Konami in 2019 to serve as the series producer, said that despite both development teams clashing, the remake is highly respectful of the 2001 release. Speaking to Famitsu, Akamoto said that Japanese staff, including art director Masahiro Ito and sound designer Akira Yamaoka, pushed for changes because developers often don't want to make the same thing they created again. Akamoto didn't reveal what changes the original developers specifically wanted, but did say that they ultimately met Blooper Team in the middle. In the end, we managed to get it right, Akamoto said, adding that Blooper Team are fans of the original and wanted to preserve the vision as much as possible. I think there were a lot of parts that the Japanese development team wanted to change drastically in the remake, Akamoto continued. Thanks to the opinions of Blooper Team, who are also big fans of the original, the remake was highly respectful to the original. So this is obviously translated, so there could be a little bit of context that's lost here. But I'm curious what you guys think of this, because on one hand, I feel like this is like they're saying this is like, this is a good thing, right? Like we're preserving the original. But then it's like, well, if it's like members of the original team that are pushing for changes, what do you go with here? You know what I mean? Do you listen to the original team members, even though it's a remake where they say like, we want to change this more drastically? Or do you not, and do you stick like very closely to what the original game is doing? And see, the thing that makes this tough is they don't reveal here like what aspects of the game. You're saying listen to the developers? Yeah, I mean, my gut tells me to do that, but the only thing that makes it a little bit messy to me is that you don't have the entirety of the original team. You only have some of the original team. And so I guess there's maybe this kind of aspect where it's like, if you're only getting one or two of the original team members and they're giving their suggestions were like, you should change this drastically. I could kind of see how it's like, well, it is a remake and we don't have the entire original team here. So it's kind of a tough one, but I don't know. It, like, from Bloober Team's perspective, I could see why they would be terrified. I could understand why they're like, look, man, we just want to get this right and we don't want to make anybody mad, although I think that they still made people mad. And it's just like a situation where it's like, we're just going to stick to remaking the original. Like, we're not going to make drastic changes. We think players are going to get really upset. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, even if the developers of the original game made some of the changes, I think Bloober Team would like, if people didn't like those changes, I think Bloober Team would bear the brunt of that blame. A lot of developers aren't what they used to be. I mean, yeah, I see both sides here, where for me, the thing that makes this really tough to determine if they made a smart decision or not is what changes. See, the key word here is drastic changes. And that tells me that the developers of Silent Hill 2, some of the original development team members, Team Silent, it tells me that like there were just certain things that they wanted to completely be like, no, we just like want to redo it, basically, like completely redo it. Maybe it has to do with the technology, where it's like we couldn't do this or that when we had developed the original game due to technological restraint. So maybe it was more of like maybe this is a Konami thing. Maybe the changes that the original team wanted to make, maybe they were good and they would have been very interesting, but maybe it ultimately increased the scope of the game. And Konami was like, yeah, we're not paying for that. Like, we're paying for a remake. You know what I mean? That's a possibility. Swift Guyver, you're saying the OG creators wanted Maria's outfit to change and completely go against the entire metaphorical point of her look. I doubt it. Yeah, I saw that. This is what I don't understand what's going on there. People were telling me that the art direction with the remake, the blooper team is actually using the source material, like the actual original concept art, and they're trying to like develop it to look closer to the original concept art. I don't know if that's true for Maria's outfit though. Supremacy 101 with a $5 chat saying Microsoft reportedly working on Halo Combat Evolved remaster considering PlayStation 5 release. Don't expect it at Xbox Game Showcase on Sunday via IGN. Yeah, Supremacy. We just talked all about that, dude. You're coming in like just as we finished going over that topic. So Supremacy, what I recommend is when this stream is done, when this podcast episode is over, come back and listen to it. Hopefully Devil Shooter will be able to get the timestamps up for it. We had like a whole hour and a half long conversation about that. But yes, pretty crazy if true. I'm just checking something really quick about Silent Hill 2. So I'm looking at the original concept art for Maria for Silent Hill 2. And I'm now looking at Silent Hill 2 Remake Maria. Yeah. That's so weak, dude. What I don't understand. Listen, I'm not trying to throw a fit here, and I'm not going to throw a fit. Because at the end of the day, it's not that serious. But it really does make me question. This is why people say there's an agenda. Okay? This is why there's so much vitriol out there, because I'm looking at the original concept art. I want to bring this up if it'll let me. I think I might just have to describe it to you. So basically, if you know anything about Silent Hill 2, this is important to know. Silent Hill 2 is a deep dive into the human psyche. And there are psychosexual themes. In fact, one of the biggest, most important themes about Silent Hill 2 and what makes it so disturbing in some ways is that aspect of it. And this character, Maria, obviously plays a vital role in the story, in the game. And if you look at her original outfit design, it is... It, you know, for lack of a better term, like it's pretty slutty, you know, it's done that. There's a reason for it. And when you look at her in the remake from what they've showed, it's like it's toned down substantially. She's covered up more significantly, and and even you can't even go based off of the. You can't even. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not saying anymore. If you look at the original concept art, because that's what people are saying. They're like, listen, if you look at the original concept art, they're trying to make it more similar, like in line with that. It's like, okay, I just saw the original concept art of Maria's character, and they definitely changed her outfit. This is why people think there's an agenda, and I'm not here to talk about it for too long because I'm very much tired of it myself. But I just don't understand, like, why? I need an answer to that question. Why did you change her outfit? This isn't a Stellar Blade situation. This is very much, there is a very important reason why this character looks the way they do. You change the outfit. Why? That's all I want to know. I just want to know why. This is a rated M game. It deals with very heavy subject matter. And the visual aspect is very important to the entirety of the presentation and the entire story. It's frustrating, man. It's incredibly frustrating because it's hard to argue against the people who are being most vocal about this when there are things here that we're not getting answers to. Like, we're seeing it in front of us. Like, oh, this is a thing that happened. That this is a thing that they changed. And then they just don't. Great question, Shems. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. If they're willing to change this, something that's so important, I would say, to the overall story and theme of Silent Hill 2, then, man, what are they going to do with Metal Gear Solid 3 with Eva? It's just a little blooper. Listen, I don't want to be overly dramatic about it. But people who are saying that they made too many changes that seem to be going in the wrong direction, when I see stuff like this, I can't argue against it. I can't just defend it and be like, no, it still looks fine. It still looks like, listen, I'm still going to play it. I won't deny that. I've been waiting too long for something like this to not play it. And I'm hoping it'll still turn out to be good. But I am nervous. Like, I'm nervous going into, like, if you're willing to change that for reasons you're not willing to talk about, what else did you change? You know? It's very frustrating. We live in such a weird time, man. We really live in such a weird time where it's like, there just doesn't seem to be any good reason for this type of stuff. Where it's like, you had one job. Like, you have one job. Your one job is remake the game that came out in 2001. That's considered a survival horror masterpiece. And all that really requires is just make the graphics good. And maybe tweak a couple of the gameplay mechanics, to modernize it so it doesn't feel so, like you're playing literally a game from 2001. That's it. And when you see liberties taken like this, there's no answer. And there's no answer because, well, I think we all know why. We'll see, Lone Wolf Gamer. We have Nicodemus, member for 10 months, saying, we have to actually take a stand against this woke push from Sweet Baby Inc. If we give in, it will continue. Yeah, I know. It's hard, man, because it walks this line, at least for me personally, where I am frustrated with it and I am very much annoyed by it, but I also don't know that I can lie to myself and say, hey, this game I've been waiting to be remade forever, and this game I've been anticipating forever. Like, I could sit here and tell you now, I'm so upset I'm not playing this game. But I can say that easily right now because it's not October 8th. Come October 8th, when the game's out, I'm going to have the itch. And I understand what that means. I understand that means, well, listen, man, if you're not willing to stand up to it and not purchase it and not speak with your wallet, then maybe you shouldn't complain about it either, because you're not going to be part of the change. And maybe that's true. And it's tough, it's like I saw the things that people were saying about Spider-Man 2, and I just knew, like, I'm still going to play it. Like, I want to experience the game. And I think what makes this so difficult is, like, a lot of this stuff there is good there. And I think that's what makes it so annoying, is that a lot of these products have a lot to offer, and there's a lot of great content, great gameplay, there's a lot there that's like, this is very good. But then there's just a couple of these things that are like, what is this? Why? Like, what's going on here? And it feels like it walks that line where it's like, it's just enough for you to notice, but not quite enough to ruin the overall experience. And that to me is the nefarious part of it, where it's like, okay. You're being pretty, I don't know what the right word is, I guess, like, you're not going full blown, all out. So, I mean, there are video games that do that, and those video games fail. But they're just kind of, inserting it a little bit here, a little bit there, and not all of it, listen, is even bad. Like, I don't mind if people want to use the medium of video games to express themselves and express their feelings and their opinions. Like, that's fine. We should see that and encourage that across all media, but it shouldn't be done in some sneaky, seemingly nefarious way where it's like, and now we're going to cover up this character and basically change her design because it's 2024 and we can't be having that. And it's like, what? Like, this is where when people were freaking out about Stellar Blade, the thing that confused me about it is I'm like, but there are still so many outfits that are very promiscuous and lewd and totally like hypersexual. This to me is a little bit different, where it's like, this is a single player game. It's a psychological horror game, and a main theme of this game is around, like, they're like serious sexual themes. So it's like, this to me seems incredibly important to the actual like story and theme of the game. And I just find it kind of crazy that they're willing to potentially risk that because you feel like you have to cover this character up a little bit more. Like, why? It's a freaking rated M game. Like, that's, I don't know, man. It just doesn't add up to me. It doesn't make sense. You mean having an agenda? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I will say, if we have, there are other things in the game that we'll know, I guess, is the best way to, like, again, I'm not going to spoil anything. Vixicious, excuse me. You're saying, so they don't show Maria's belly button anymore. All of a sudden, it's a bad remake. Who said she won't change costumes during the game? Well, see, that's the whole thing. This is why I'm saying Vixicious. It's I can't go off the deep end because I don't know that. And we've had a very limited showing of Maria in the game. And look, I'm not saying it's because they're not showing her belly button that changes everything. They could still tell the exact same story, and just keep her in this new outfit and keep this new look. And I'm not even saying it would ruin the story, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, what makes me frustrated is how, if they're going to come out and they're going to say, listen, our main goal for Silent Hill 2 Remake is to preserve, what this game is and have the most faithful remake as possible. That's great. But then they say something like, but it's also going to be updated for modern audiences. And it's like, that's where it's just, that feels like a kind of, like that's the catch-22, right? Where it's like, oh, updated for modern audiences. I wonder what that's going to look like. And I feel like this is our first maybe, insight into what that looks like, where it's like, well, yeah, we can't show that much skin. We can't have her looking that slutty. It's like, but the original game, that's what it did. And there was a reason for it. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not saying it guarantees it's going to ruin the story or ruin the remake. What I'm saying is that it doesn't align with what they're saying when they say we want to create the most faithful remake possible. It doesn't align with that. Even just from a visual standpoint, like you changed the way this character is dressed, and normally maybe that wouldn't matter that much. But in this case, it does matter because it's an important part of this character's story and what she represents in the game. And that's what, the devil's in the details, right? Like, so I hope you're right. And maybe like things, I don't know, maybe things change. Or you know what? Maybe I'm thinking too deeply about it. Maybe Konami was just like, maybe we can just make it like a microtransaction. You want the original costume, you got to pay for it. I'm just kidding. Am I though? But we have Digital Dude here with a super chat saying, just pre-ordered Concord MBG. If you want to try the beta, let me know. I can let 4 people try it. Well, I would say sure, but they did say they're going to do an open beta. Here's what I'm thinking, Digital Dude. I'm thinking when the first round of the beta goes out, I'm going to have anybody here who's planning on trying it, like yourself, Digital Dude. You can let me know what you think of it. I'm like curious to hear what, some of you guys are going to have to say about it. And then I'll take that and then I'll try. I'm assuming if they're going to do an open beta, it'll be like a week or two later, and then I'll try it myself. But I do appreciate that, Digital Dude. MBG, to me, it seems like the community is going a little crazy just by such a small detail. The story's meaning is up for debate. There's no right or wrong, so her outfit doesn't have to be like the past. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Is like, I get what you're saying, and I guess that's true to an extent, but my problem lies more so with the straight up hypocrisy that is just being put out in front of us. You know what I'm saying? That's all. I just don't appreciate when certain companies try to like make us seem like we're dumb or something, where it's like, guys, you're saying you're hyper focused on preserving, everything as it was. And people, listen, everybody's focused on Angela's face, right? I'm not so focused on that. A lot of people are like, oh my God, look at what they did to Angela. They purposely made her fat and ugly or whatever. And then people were pointing out that, like, no, actually, she looks more like that, although she still looks kind of rough. Like, I mean, just generally speaking, like the level of detail on her face seems to be lacking. But people are saying, no, she looks like that because they were trying to actually match the original concept art more closely. That's what they were basing their character designs off of, the original concept art. And I'm like, oh, okay, that actually explains a lot. And if you look at the original concept art, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect one-to-one, but you can kind of see a little bit where it's like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. But that's what bothers me is like, but then when it comes to Maria's character, we'll make changes where we see fit. And we're going to change the outfit that she's wearing compared to the original concept art. And that's what I'm talking about. It's like you're picking and you're choosing. And my only question is why? Why are you picking and choosing? And that's the question I want an answer to. And if their answer to that is, oh, because we're trying to make it for a modern audience, that's where I will call them out and say, oh, okay, so I see what you're doing here. It needs to be a very modern audience. Gotcha. Like it tells me everything I need to know, basically. And that's what's frustrating. Is it's just this should be clear cut. Let me see here. We have a couple more super chats. Thank you guys. I do appreciate it. We have Kane Z7 saying the outfit does need to be like it in the past, but it also, you're saying it doesn't need to be like it was in the past, but it also doesn't need to change. It makes no sense. Just keep the game the same. That's what I'm saying, man. Is it's like, I know it's easy to be like, oh, you're just hyper fixating because you're not seeing as much skin. And it's like, well, no, like I'm not, come on. I'm not juvenile in that way. It's like, I'm not playing Silent Hill 2 Remake for that reason. I don't think anybody is. But it does fall to what you're saying here, Kane, where it's just like, just keep it the same. Because that's what you're saying you want to do. Because you're saying that's how important it is. And I just don't like that. It rubs me the wrong way when it's like, yeah, we're so focused on preserving this game and keeping it exactly as it's got to be, and that's so important to us. But we're gonna make changes where we want to make changes, where we deem it, It's like, that's so weak. That's so weak. Digital Dude 25 with another $10 super chat. Thank you for that, buddy. You're saying, I'll support any live service game that PlayStation puts out. The game doesn't have to be a masterpiece. It just needs to be fun. I think people forget that sometimes. I do think you're right. I do think that there can be too much focus on the wrong things with games. And that's why I've kind of relaxed my stance at least a little bit, where, all right, I voiced my frustrations with Concord. I voiced my frustrations with what I'm seeing here. And there are still certain aspects of the game that I'm like, I don't think it's going to be able to win me over no matter what. And I'm okay with that. But yeah, I do agree that sometimes I think I find myself, and I think a lot of people are guilty of this, of just not allowing yourself to just be completely honest and evaluate a video game based off of, are you having fun or not? You know what I mean? And that's, I'm trying hard to get back to that. Well, I don't want to allow that to turn into ignorance, though. You know what I'm saying? And we have Jake TRML coming, keeping the membership train rolling today. He drops a single membership gift for you guys, bringing us up to 27 on the day. Jake,
thank you. Appreciate it.
Really appreciate that, buddy. Thank you for the continued support. So we're now at 27 members. Good stuff. I guess I'm just saying, like, if I play a video game and it's fun, I don't want to just say, because think about that. If I only talked about video games on the basis of it's fun or it's not, our conversations would be like 5 minutes long, probably less than 5 minutes long. And I think it's tough to just always gauge, or not gauge, but have a conversation about a game based on the fun factor. Like, I think that has to be one part of a larger conversation, because I think games are, they have a lot to them. And the fun fact, but here's the thing. If somebody were to say to me, yes, there are many different layers that make up a game, but the most important layer is the fun factor, I would agree with that. I can absolutely agree with that, because this kind of brings me back to being a kid, where it's like, I think about why I even cared about video games in the first place. Like, what attracted me to video games? What made me want to pick up a controller and interact with a video game? It was because it looked fun. And then I discovered it was fun, and I had fun. And of course, that becomes more nuanced and complex over time, as all things are. It's to me, it's like wanting to learn an instrument. It's like somebody wants to play the drums. Why do you want to play? It looks fun. It looks cool. And you get behind a drum kit and you just beat around a little bit. And you're like, wow, this actually feels great. Maybe you sound terrible, but it's like, it feels great either way. Like you enjoy But then there comes that deeper layer of like, but I want to get good. I want to actually learn how to properly play. And then you realize there's so much more to it. There's so much more to all of what makes up the act of drumming and playing this instrument. I think the same can be said with games. And I guess I feel like at this point in my life, the fun factor is still the most important part of any game. If I'm not having fun playing a game, it doesn't matter to me. Nothing in this game matters if I'm not having fun. So that is ultimately the make or break for all games. But when I do determine that a game, you could argue that the reason why I'm talking about Concord as much as I am is because there maybe is something there, even if it's just something I would have wanted it to be. I'll tell you what's there. What's there is the PlayStation Studios logo, and for me, the PlayStation Studios logo means something to me, and so it means that whatever game is going to have that backing it, I'm going to look at it on a deeper level, because I do anticipate that Concord probably will be fun, right? Like at least it could be. It seems like when you look at the gameplay, even if it's not original, which I do think Concord is not original, it does look like maybe they got the most important thing right. Maybe it's going to be a fun game to play. I don't necessarily know that will automatically translate to, so that means it will be successful, because unfortunately there are plenty of fun games that are created that are not successful because they get other things wrong, that can make the game fun for only a little bit, and then it's not fun because it just gets boring real quick, or certain aspects are fun, but other aspects are broken. Or in the case of like Concord, I think the overall presentation of it, is turning a lot of people off, where they're like, I just am not interested in these characters and the banter and the whole tone. So no matter how fun it is, I'll play a different, similar game with a different tone and different characters. But yeah, I get what you're saying, Digital Dude. I don't know that I can say that I will support every live service game that PlayStation puts out. Like, what I can say is I will pay attention to every live service game that PlayStation puts out. And I'm trying really hard to be more balanced in that I have my own opinion of Concord and I've expressed it. You guys know that. But I've seen a lot of people tell me like, well, hey man, I might be interested in it, or like, it seems like it might be fun for me. And I don't want to be that person. I really don't. And I've been working at this. I do not want to be that person that turns to people and say, no, I don't care if you're having fun. I don't care if you think it looks good. I don't care what you think. You're wrong and you need to change. I can't be that person. Like, I would only reserve that opinion for something very serious. I'm talking things outside of video games. Like, I'm talking about how people are living and how they're treating other human beings. I would have a strong opinion like that to be able to tell somebody like, you need to change because this is wrong. I can't do that for video games. It's not that serious. No matter how serious I want to believe it is, it's not. They're video games, they're media, they're entertainment. And we have so many to choose from that I cannot turn to somebody and say, no, stop enjoying what you're enjoying and go enjoy that instead. I also would expect people to not do that to me either. You know what I mean? And I know that's maybe expecting too much, but hopefully what I'm saying makes some kind of sense. I'm trying to just be a little bit more fair and a little bit more balanced. And part of that is understanding that the world doesn't revolve around me and my opinions and my thoughts, and that I can give my opinions and my thoughts, but everybody has to make their own choices, and I'm going to make mine and you're going to make yours, and we'll see how it plays out. That's all. I think the world in general, I think maybe I'm being a little too, I don't know, too naive. Maybe it's just the mood I'm in right now. It's hard to say, but I think the world in general and people in general could use a little bit more, a little bit of understanding can go a long way. That's all I'm trying to say. I think a lot of people's anger and frustration and hatred and animosity, not to get too philosophical about it, but you see it all across the internet with video games, and it obviously goes well beyond video games. I think a lot of it it comes down to people are not willing to even try to understand why. Why, where is this coming from? And maybe that's an impossibility where maybe there's just some things, the only way you can understand it is by becoming it. I would say that, yeah, in extreme cases, for sure. But I just think a little bit of understanding goes a long way, or at least trying to understand. And I'm just getting a little bit exhausted with the up and down reactions all the time, with everything. I'm getting a little bit exhausted of everything being so polarizing 24/7. Like everything has to be polarizing. And I'm trying to slowly but surely distance myself from the constant polarization and instead just be focused on the evaluation and the honest, balanced analysis of something. And that's difficult for me, truthfully, at times, because I am an emotionally volatile person at times. It works for me, but it also works against me. It can be my greatest strength, but it can simultaneously be my greatest weakness. But I think we all have this vision of who we want to be as people, like the better version of ourselves. And for me, the better version of myself has always come in the form of trying to see myself as more balanced and more understanding and having my own opinions and my own convictions, but being able to see clearly the other side. It's hard. I won't lie, it's hard, but I'm trying. Negativity sells? Absolutely it does. Anyway, Digital Dude, you got me going on a slightly philosophical rant there. I must become the Matt Booty of PlayStation. Thank you, Gaming Survivor. Thank you for wrapping up what I was trying to say so eloquently, so perfectly. MBG, you have no legs to stand on. You are a traitor to democracy. Oh, man. Was it something I said? Really quick, Swift Guyver says there are games with fun gameplay that have business models which have pushed the industry down negative paths, though, in my opinion. People can play what they want, but there are consequences of supporting. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I did see people were complaining very much about multiverses, which just came out. And some of the complaints I've seen are people are basically saying like this game has the worst monetization, the most egregious and aggressive monetization of like any console game. Like it's basically a mobile game on console. And that's the thing is like, I don't want to encourage people like, no, you should support that and you should give them your money. I don't want to say that because it's like, well, I don't want more experiences that are doing that. That does seem overall like a negative for the industry. Like I don't think, I think it's just about making it clear on an individual basis that I don't support that and I'm not supporting it. So maybe think about that. And then moving on and supporting what it is I want to support. It's easier said than done. And that's where like getting back to the Silent Hill 2 conversation, that's where it's a tough one where it's like, I'm not going to deny that I do see a couple of issues here, but I'm seeing a lot of people treating some of these issues like I'm not touching it. Don't support it. If you support it, you're supporting a big problem in the industry. And it's like, well, I don't know that I feel that way at this moment in time. Like I can see some of the issues and I raise an eyebrow, but I'm not like convinced that if I buy Silent Hill 2 Remake, I am damaging the industry. Maybe I am, and maybe I will regret that in the future, but I just am not convinced in this moment, So I can honestly say, like, I wouldn't appreciate somebody or a group of people constantly coming at me and being like, no, you're wrong. Like, you are supporting the wrong thing. Like, you are hurting the industry. Like, you know what I mean? Where it's like, wouldn't you rather a person come to their own conclusion than make a decision because you told them what to do? You get what I'm saying? We have Russell Carey with the $2 super chats. His first time super chatting, saying, "What percentage of gamers, are the modern audience?" I have no idea, and I would love to know the answer to that question. What even is the modern audience? That's what I mean. I feel like these terms are kind of thrown around, and there's a minimal explanation given. Like, hey, we've made some changes to Silent Hill 2 Remake to make it more appealing to a modern audience. But like then nobody goes on to explain what do you mean, like what do you mean by that? What is a modern audience? You know? Like I always assumed when they said that, and I know that this is giving them the benefit of the doubt, I thought that they were talking more from a gameplay perspective. Like no fixed camera, better shooting, more modern shooting mechanics, better melee mechanics, stuff like that, you know, just stuff that you would kind of expect. But of course, you hear the term modern audience and you think, journalists? Yeah, right. Snowflakes. Well, see, that's the thing too. Is like, I would say that Silent Hill 2 is not a game for the faint of heart. You know, like it's a deep and heavy game with some deep and heavy themes, and that's what makes it so good. And I just feel like if you mess with that, you risk messing with the DNA of this story in this game, and I don't think that's worth it because there's a reason why it's held in such high regard. And I think what we should be striving for is this was a great piece of art that was created and released in the year, it was created and then it was released and published in the year 2001. And obviously, times have changed a lot since 2001. Society as a whole has changed a lot since 2001. But I still believe that the art that was created, it's not something that was necessarily influenced. Well, there has to be a better way to for me to explain this. Silent Hill 2, to me, that like story wise and the themes and the way it tells the story, it doesn't feel like a byproduct of, oh yeah, like you could see the 2001, the early 2000s influence all over it. I don't feel that way. Like I feel like, no, that's like a timeless, these are timeless themes, Like this is a story that should be told the same way today because it's timeless. There's no reason for it to like change at all. That's how I feel about it. Nothing is better than it was, MBG. Nothing. Now that's deep. That's deep. Nothing is better than it was. I'm not going to think too deeply about that. You'll get me going down a rabbit hole here. I see what you're doing, Titus. We have a perfect image here saying, did you accept... Hold on. Did you accept Forspoken and Stray would be... Or maybe you're saying, did I expect Forspoken and Stray would be good games? Originally, I thought Forspoken was going to be good. And then the more and more we saw of it, I'll never forget. Forspoken seemed cool to me when it was known as Project Athia. And we just knew the premise of the game. I'm like, oh, this sounds kind of cool. And then I'll never forget the first trailer we saw when she was like, is that a effing dragon? And I just could feel inside of myself. I was like, I don't think I'm going to play this game. Like, you know what I mean? There was just this feeling like in that moment, something just, it was like, I think I'm going to pass on this one. And I tried not to lean into that too much because I was like, well, I feel like maybe I'm judging it too quickly. Maybe that was just one really strange piece of dialogue, and maybe that surely that's not going to be the actual tone of the game. And then we saw more and more of it, and then that was the tone of the game, and I'm like, oh, I don't know that this is for me. And then I played the demo, and then I realized, yeah, I can't get into this. I'm just not feeling it. So I passed on it. Stray, actually, believe it or not, I haven't played Stray yet, which is probably a cardinal sin for me, considering such a cat lover. I just turned around and looked at Boss, and he was rolling around in some catnip. He's got catnip all over his back again. No, I haven't played Stray yet. Maybe that's what I'll play soon. I heard it's really good. I heard it's very, very good. It's on Plus. I'd probably... Can you still get a physical copy of it? Oh, man. Oh, I upset a lot of Stray fans here. If I do get that game, though, I think Mrs. MVG would want to play it with me. If you have cats, play Stray. Even if you don't, still play it. Well, I do have... You know I have cats. Let me see. So a physical copy of Stray for PS5 is $24 listed on Amazon. Yeah, I might pick this up soon and play it. To be honest, I forgot about it. I won't lie to you. I meant to play it a while ago, and I just never did. And then Perfect Image brought it up. I'm not going to order it right now on the spot, but I'll add it to my wish list here. Oh, wow. Sorry, I went back to the original concept art of Maria once again, and I missed a picture here where she's even more revealing. There's an original concept picture here of Maria where she's straight up, she's like not really wearing any clothes. So, wonder if that'll make its way into the game. Probably not. Anyway, I do have 2 more topics here. Show it. I would, but I already quit out of it. Well, not accidentally, but Novinser, shh, quiet. We have Elden Ring DLC coming. If you guys want to see it, just Google Silent Hill 2 Maria concept art. You'll be able to see it. All right, so we are going to move on to the next topic here. We have 2 more topics left for Press X podcast. Just do me a favor, hit that like button. Appreciate you guys still being here and hanging out with me. This topic, not going to spend too much time on it, but I just wanted to go over it with you guys because it's something that we saw at the State of Play, and it's something that Sony is clearly still very serious about. It's being reported by Push Square. Sony is plunging the depths of emerging markets to bolster its content offering on PS5 and PS4, and that's resulting in plenty of diverse content like Infinity Nikki, the open-world anime dress-up game, which has exploded in popularity on PlayStation's YouTube channel. It's one of a number of Chinese titles on the way, with Ballad of Antara and Marvel Rivals, as well as Where the Winds Meet, also being featured on the format holder's recent State of Play, and Zenless Zone Zero due out in a matter of weeks. So I do want to point out here, if you go to PlayStation's YouTube channel, this trailer for Infinity Nikki is by far and away the most viewed trailer from that state of play. Okay, it's sitting currently at 2.7 million views. I don't think there's anything that comes even close to that. So even though this game is not for me at all, Sony clearly knew what they were doing here. Yeah, this game is going to make a lot of money. Apparently, this is a known IP as well, which I didn't know. But a lot of people very hyped for this game. But it continues here. Christian Svensson, the organization's head of second-party and third-party content, is particularly pleased with all of the new titles the manufacturer has cooking from China. He says, so very pleased to see so many of our partners from China featured in State of Play. He said on social media, Ballad of Antera, Marvel Rivals, Nikki Infinity, and Where the Winds Meet demonstrate the wide diversity of content coming to PlayStation from China, and there's lots more coming. As alluded to above, PlayStation has really been tapping into the development teams of previously overlooked territories as of late, with Korea's Shift Up developing console-exclusive Stellar Blade, and its recently announced India Hero project looking to bear fruit in the future. With the gaming industry bigger and more competitive than ever, all of this investment shows Sony is forever looking to new frontiers, which will serve it well as the generation matures. So yeah, I just wanted to take a moment here to highlight something that I think maybe went a little bit overlooked with this recent State of Play, and that is the fact that like half of the games that were shown are from Chinese developers, and one of these games is the game that people are seemingly most excited about, or at the very least got the most amount of viewership. And it goes to show that Sony's investment in these territories, such as China, with the China Hero project, and how they're continuing that investment, is seemingly going to pay off for them in a big way as the generation continues. And they did invest heavily in the India Hero project, and I think that they recently announced that they're actually looking for some game developers coming out of Africa, seeing if they can scout some talent there. And this is interesting. It's interesting to see how this may end up playing out, because I think that this is one of the more important aspects of the PlayStation business now, certainly more important than it's ever been before, where they have these development teams internally that are making some of the biggest games in the industry. They're trying to push boundaries. They're going to take a long time. They're highly risky. Highly risky. I think that doesn't sound right. They're high risk. There we go. Highly risky. I don't know. Something about that doesn't sound right. They're high risk games. Their budgets are going to be through the roof. They're going to take a long time to make. Sony seems to be getting much more serious. Well, I think it's obvious they've been getting much more serious about finding these partner studios and just kind of realizing that, there are potentially these markets that they've neglected and ignored over the years where there could be development talent there that they just have no idea about. And at least with China, it's worth noting that when it comes to China, this was the first territory where Sony actually got serious back in like 2021, 2022. This is when they really started scouting out talent in China, game talent, dev talent, and seeing what they could do. And it just seems to have really grown significantly since then. So, again, not a topic I have a whole lot to say about, but just something I wanted to let you guys know and just kind of highlight that half of the games that were shown and some of the games that people are most excited about, that we saw during that State of Play, they are coming from Chinese developers. And this is because Sony has gotten very serious about investing in development talent in this territory. But we are going to move on to the final topic of today's stream, and it has to do, it's actually bad news in my opinion. It's quite unfortunate. Doesn't necessarily have to do with PlayStation, but a major third-party developer have a report here from WCCF Tech. A new version of Hogwarts Legacy is apparently in development, and members of Rocksteady Studios, the studio behind the Batman Arkham series and the controversial Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, are working on it. In a new report from Bloomberg's Jason Schreier focused on the development woes of the aforementioned live service game released earlier this year by Rocksteady Studios and Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment, it's revealed how a director's cut version of the open world game based on the Wizarding School is in the works. No additional information was provided on this new version, so it's not clear how it will be different from the massively successful base version of the game. Many of the studio's employees are now helping to develop a new director's cut version of Hogwarts Legacy. At the same time, according to people familiar, the studio leaders are looking to pitch a new single-player game, which would return Rocksteady to its roots. Now, that's the good news here. The reveal of a new version of Hogwarts Legacy is definitely interesting, as the game's final update has just gone live. And so there's something else to this that I want to mention. I've been seeing rumblings around Twitter, and I don't know if there's any truth to this, and I would take it with a massive pinch of salt. There have been some rumblings that WB might be considering shutting down Rocksteady. Now, again, don't know where these rumors are coming from. Take it with a massive, just a whole handful of salt there. But it's definitely not good what has happened. Massive flop in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I mean, colossal flop. Lost WB like over $200 million. Rocksteady lost their lead developers prior to the launch, and they're making their own studio now and making their own game. They partnered with Xbox. And now a portion, or at least like half of this team that you would think would be working on a brand new single-player AAA game, now they're actually making a director's cut. They're working on a director's cut of Hogwarts Legacy. It sounds pretty disastrous. We have Anthony Perez here with a 2-part super chat. Thank you for that, Anthony. Saying, saw a breakdown about the PC strategy. At least 50% of PC users have GPUs less capable than a PS5, and currently 1/3 of PS5 owners did not own a PS4. Speculated some of them were from PC. Lots of criticism to Sony, but 1, most profitable generation, and 2, signs of the PC strategy working. The question is this: is Sony out of touch, or are gamers? It's a great analysis and great question, Anthony Perez. And so here's what I'll say. All generation long, and especially the past 2.5 years, there have been hundreds, thousands, possibly by this point, even tens of thousands of opinions, probably, certainly more than tens of thousands opinions thrown out there about the direction Sony's going in and how Sony is wrong. Sony's going down the wrong path. They're making mistakes. They don't know what they're doing. And time again, the data comes out. The numbers come out. And the numbers don't lie. And the numbers reveal time and time again that, who would have guessed, all of the people saying this were wrong. And it's just like right now, where people have been saying for the past 4 years that Sony's going to go day and date with their big single-player games. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. You're in denial if you think it's not going to happen. You're a fanboy in denial. Meanwhile, it hasn't happened. You know what I mean? And I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's not that gamers are out of touch. It's that there's a vocal group on the internet that their only purpose for being on the internet is to embrace chaos and further proliferate that chaos. And their focus, their attention shifts constantly. Whatever the chaos of the day is, whoever's seemingly making a mistake, or whatever gets the most viewership, whatever the popular thing to do, is it to complain about Microsoft? Is it to complain about Sony? Is it to complain about this other video game company? So on and so forth. And the reason why I said for the past year and a half to 2 years specifically is because the popular thing to do is exactly that. It's to point to PlayStation fans and make fun of them for various reasons, which I can kind of understand that, but to simultaneously people know that they're wrong if you think PlayStation's doing well. And it's just like I had to explain the other day. The narrative that people are latching onto now is that no, PlayStation's not doing well because of their profit margins. Suddenly everybody's obsessed with Sony PlayStation's profit margins. And you can tell that this is a just regurgitated narrative, false narrative point that people are trying desperately to, it's like if enough people say it loud enough, surely it's true. It's like, no, it's not true. I explained the other day that when Sony says their profit margins are lower or low, what they're referring to is compared to 2021, compared to 2022. What these people won't tell you is that in 1 year, the last year of PlayStation, PlayStation made more money last year than the entirety of the PlayStation 1 generation, than the entirety of the PlayStation 2 generation. This is what they will not tell you. When Sony says our profits are low, they're referring to where their profit margins were in 2021 and 2022. And that's coming off of COVID, by the way, the pandemic. And so the idea is, yeah, we want to get those profit margins back up to where they were in 2022 and 2021 because they were better, and we want to go past that. That's how this works. People don't want to hear that. They don't want to pay attention to that. They want to completely overlook that and want to say, well, no, Sony's just bleeding money. It's like, well, no, the PlayStation, when people hear Sony say the PS5 is the most profitable generation so far, and they show literal charts, they show literal numbers and literal data, factual data that prove that is a factual statement. That is a factually true statement. The PS5 generation is the most profitable generation of PlayStation ever, and we're only 4 years into it. 4 years into it. We're only halfway through. You will see people do one of two things. Either, number one, become delusional, embrace the delusion, where no, that narrative cannot be true because that makes Sony sound like they know what they're doing. And that validates PlayStation fans who have had good things to say about PlayStation. So we deny it. Number two, if you don't deny it, you downplay it. Oh yeah, it's good now. Just wait till next year. Wait till the end of this generation. Wait till next generation. And then it becomes play the waiting game because eventually Sony's going to fall. Eventually Sony's going to be wrong. And this is what you see all over the place. And I have tried desperately to explain to people, the greatest example I could give you is with Horizon. Shadowlink, I'm going to read your super chat in just a moment. Let me just get this point through. I see so many comments consistently, not only on my channel, in other places across the internet, where anytime something is mentioned about Horizon, people say Sony's doing too much with Horizon. Horizon isn't that good. Horizon is overrated. And Sony needs to move on. Guerrilla Games needs to move on. We need something new. And listen, sometimes I'm in agreement where I'm like, yeah, I'm not. I like Horizon, but I'm not like that attached to it either. Like, I would be totally cool if Guerrilla moved on to something new. I think that'd be great. But I try to explain to people that the reason why Sony is obsessed with Horizon and why Guerrilla Games is obsessed with Horizon is because the games sell incredibly well and there is clearly more appetite for this series. And that's just the way it is. And the reason it is that way is because people are supporting it. Like, you, commenter, and the 25 people who upvoted your comment may not like Horizon and may want to see something new. But that doesn't change the fact that the games are selling millions upon millions of units. That doesn't change the fact that it's making them a lot of money. And so what I try to explain to people is that doesn't mean you should like it. If just because Call of Duty does well every year doesn't mean you should like it. But what it does mean is you have to accept it for what it is. That's what it means. If you don't like something that's out there, but it's doing well, you'd have to be a fool to sit there yelling at a company being like, you should stop. They're going to look at you and be like, are you an idiot? We should stop making money because you told us to? We should ignore the millions of fans that are giving us their money and supporting our product because you told us to? And this is where the entitlement comes in. This is why the internet gets so toxic with games these days, because people believe, like they confuse these two things. They confuse giving your opinion or criticizing something and just putting it out there with a sense of importance and relevance. You know what I mean? Like they think, well, what I have to say, it would be like me thinking that anything I had to say about Concord, Sony gives a shit about. You know what I'm saying? Like, absolutely not. Like, I would never want Sony to make a decision just based off, it'd be kind of great in a way, because it's like, I control Sony. But you get what I'm saying? It's like, I'm just one person, man. And I just have one opinion. And when I say things like, I think Concord might fail, I'm not saying because I want it to fail, because I'm not supporting it, and anything I don't support needs to fail. No. It's just based off of, I think there might be a lot more people that feel the way I do than don't. But that's where, when I look at Horizon, or maybe Call of Duty is the best example here, because Horizon, like I said, I do like. And Call of Duty, I do kind of like, but I've fallen off of it for many years and I've questioned what they're doing. But that's the whole thing, is like, oh yeah, do you see how much money Call of Duty's making? You see how there's millions and millions, or even Fortnite. Fortnite's an even better example. I don't give a shit about Fortnite, dude. Fortnite makes me cringe. But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Like, look at all the people that absolutely love Fortnite. So even though there's me and a lot of other people that cringe at Fortnite and think, wow, Fortnite looks pretty bad, it doesn't matter. And at some point, you just got to know when to call a spade a spade. You got to know when to call the game, dude. You got to know when to throw in the towel, where it's like, you're not winning this battle. And I just think I'm going a little bit off topic here, but Anthony, I guess I resonate with what you're saying here, because it's not that gamers are out of touch. It's that there are too many gamers that spend too much time believing that their way is the better way, and they group up together collectively on the internet and they project that. And because there's minimal pushback, and you know why there's minimal pushback? Because the people who are enjoying these things and enjoying these products, they're busy enjoying these products. They're busy playing these products. They're busy spending their time on PlayStation. Like, for all these people who spent the past 3 years basically telling you the PS5 is terrible and this generation is horrible and everything's doom and everything's bad, everything sucks with PlayStation. Yeah, there's a reason why that was so prominent. It's because all the people who weren't doing that were busy playing on their PlayStations. And that's why Sony comes out and says, here's the data. You want to know how much money people are spending on PlayStation 5? Do you want to know how much playtime people have on PlayStation 5? This is why Jim Ryan probably was just laughing the whole time. His name, he got dragged on the internet for something he said, or people were making fun, the crying Jim emojis. He's probably just laughing because he's like, you guys have no idea. You guys have no idea. I'm winning in the biggest possible way. I'm going to retire on top. And he did. And, there will still be people that say, no, Jim was an idiot. It's like, well, he's a rich idiot who left PlayStation in the best place it's ever been in. objectively speaking. So, you know what I mean? It's not to say that things are perfect, and it's not to say that we like. Well, the data says PlayStation's doing the best they ever have, so we shouldn't have any requests. No, we shouldn't be critical. No, we definitely should. But what I'm trying to say is that the people who are being next level, like doom and gloom towards Sony, they're not saying anything in the best interest of people who actually like PlayStation. And that's the point I'm trying to get at, is they're saying things from their extremist point of view where they believe that their way is the best way, and Sony and the PlayStation players and fan base are not at all part of it, so it's all bad. And that's what I'm speaking to here, because there are people who are very much playing on PlayStation, very much playing on PlayStation 5, who have valid criticisms. Like, one of our biggest criticisms is Sony's communication when it comes to first party and how it's been severely lacking. And yeah, that's still true. So even though PlayStation is on top and doing better than they ever have, I'm still sitting here wondering, like, where are the new first party game announcements? Where's the roadmap? How does the second half of this generation look? I don't have the answer to any of this. So therefore, I'm going to be critical, and I'm going to be concerned, and I'm going to be a little bit like, all right, Sony, like, hopefully you're listening to us. We're hoping to see more. But, you know, there's going to always be those people that are like, no, it's because there are no games, dude. It's because they were completely mismanaged. They don't have any games coming, and the second half of this generation is going to be terrible, and you should just sell your PS5 now. It's like, okay. Chris Brown's like, no themes or wallpapers? Are you serious? Damn, Sony really dropped the ball. But I have another super chat here from Shadow Link. Sorry to keep you waiting, buddy. You're saying here, MBG3 people exist, the ones that know, the ones that don't know and assume they do, and the ones that don't know and know they don't know. The second are the loudest ones. Well said. I like that. Very well said. I'm about to write that down and put it on my wall. I'm about to look at that every day, because that's absolutely true. If you know, you know. If you don't know, then it goes along. Having a little bit of self-awareness that I don't know and being able to understand you don't know goes a long way. But you're right. The middle one there, the ones that don't know but assume they do. And that's why I'm trying to be more humble about my opinions, because almost all of not all of them, but a lot of my opinions are based off of things that I don't actually know. And that's why I'm trying to get better at presenting things that I do know, like, as in, here's the factual data. Like, again, like when we talk about the PS5, this is what we know about the PS5. This is what we know about the PlayStation business right now. And then when I go into speculation territory about what's potentially going to happen in the next 4 years, I try very much. I made that mistake, Shadow Link. I will say I made that mistake earlier in this generation with the PS5, where I didn't know, and I assumed I did, and I paid dearly for that in a myriad of ways, where I was humbled very quickly, where it's like, oh, wow, okay, I had no idea what I was talking about. I dug in. I planted my flag way too quickly, and was ready to die on a hill, where it's like, bro, you see where you're standing, you know? And you live and you learn. And that's the only thing I can hope, right, is the people who are in the middle there that are the loudest, I hope that eventually they learn that, like, you know, if you know, you know. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Thank you for the super chat, Shadow Link. The great Sony prophet has yet to manifest himself. Feral Flame, excuse me, with a $5 chat saying, honestly, I love Horizon and think that Santa Monica devs need to move on. God of War has been milked and overrated and is going the way of Halo. Well, here's the good news. First off, and this might not be good news to you, we are getting more God of War. Like, forever. Like, God of War's never going anywhere, dude. The good news, though, is that a new IP is in development at Santa Monica. So we are going to see something totally brand new from the studio that we've never seen before. But yeah, that's the thing is like we've only gotten 2 Horizon games, but people make it seem like we've been bombarded. I think the problem with Horizon when it comes to its perception is I think people have they've been paying attention, right? Some people have been. And those who've been paying attention, they've been hearing about all these different projects, these Horizon projects that are currently in the works, but aren't announced yet. And so it just creates this sense of like, oh, there's a TV show, there's a multiplayer game, there's a Lego game, there's a third game. You know, it's just like, it just goes on and on. And I could totally understand, and maybe that is all going to be too much, where it's like, yeah, we don't want to see Guerrilla go the way of just becoming a one-note studio where this is all they do now. I can totally understand, though, and respect that they see the potential in this universe. And I'm trying to leave room for that, where it's like, listen, the Horizon universe is pretty interesting. Like I would say one of the more interesting universes where they could explore it in different ways, where it doesn't just have to be about Aloy, you know, and saving the world and killing and, you know, destroying robots and stuff. Like I think there's a lot more that they could do with it. That's my opinion anyway. And I'm curious to see if they end up doing that or not. But if they don't, and they just kind of stick to a single note and it just kind of stays the same and it does turn into oversaturation, that's going to be, I would say that would be problematic. And I would say just pay attention to what Sony says themselves going forward, because I tried to tell people this, for the people who are like, man, I'm tired of Horizon. Can we just move on from that? If the sales start to drop, if it's true that like there really isn't nearly as much of an appetite for Horizon as Sony thinks, they will get the message and they will move on. Guerrilla will have no choice. At least you would hope so. I don't know, man. Herman Hulst is the head of PlayStation. He's the CEO of PlayStation now. So maybe that, you know, maybe in the eyes of Herman Hulst, he's like, Horizon's here to stay, even if it flops. I don't think so. That would be pretty, like, business-wise, that would be pretty stupid. But he did, you know, he's one of the creators of it, so I don't know, man. I don't know. Let me go check on this poll. This poll is 782 votes. Wow, it hasn't moved at all. The poll is exactly the same as it was earlier. So people were asking me if there's going to be a members lounge, and I meant to address this earlier, but I guess it's better I address it now. So I'm actually going to be slightly altering the way I handle members content. So the plan is I'm going to be doing something for members weekly, but, and I know how that sounds like, oh no more members lounges. No, listen. The idea is I want my members content to be a little bit more impactful if possible. And so what we're going to do is we will still do members lounges, right? Like if you're somebody who looks forward to these member only streams where we're talking about different things and there's just a different energy, we are going to do that, but it's not going to be as frequent, okay? And the reason for this is because I have discovered that the members lounges, unfortunately, have been turning into, well, to put it as simply as I can, every time I do a members lounge, I'm doing it at the end of a stream, and I'm basically like, I'm spent. You know what I mean? And I think you guys have probably noticed that, where like we still have some interesting conversations and we still have some interesting moments. But I was just thinking, you know, maybe it would be better if there are dedicated moments to where like I'm not coming off of streaming for 3.5 hours, but I'm going into it fresh. And it's a full-blown dedicated member stream. You know what I mean? Something that can be, if not higher energy, I mean, that's the assumption, there will be higher energy. Something that's just more, that will resonate more with the people who are tuning in and showing up. And this is the way I kind of did it previously. And I've just been starting to feel like the members content is getting very stale. That's how I feel personally. Maybe you guys don't agree, but I just feel like it would be better if I spread it out a little bit more and try to do some different things in between. And also I'm also just trying to keep in mind like the cadence of regular streams and video content and where members content fits in all of that. And so if you're somebody who enjoys the member content, I don't think you should see this as a bad thing. This should ultimately be a good thing. Because I just want to create a little bit more variety. I want to create a little bit more, it's almost like the less is more type mentality, if that makes sense, where I suspect that my members content will be better if it's not like, it's starting to feel like an obligatory, like, okay, I just streamed for like 4 hours, but man, now I gotta stream for another hour in the members lounge, and you guys are only going to get me at like, I got like 10% left in the tank. I just feel like that just doesn't feel like that's rewarding in any way to my members. It doesn't feel distinct. That's how I've been feeling about it. So, but yeah, hopefully, again, this will encourage people to maintain their memberships, and hopefully it will feel like when you get members content, and this could fall apart. I'm well aware of that, and I might have to make further adjustments. But my goal is when I do put members content out, there's like a slight sense of excitement, like, oh, okay, the members content drop is here, and it doesn't just feel like, because I've been looking at my streams and I'm like, members lounge, and I'm like, people don't even know what they're walking into with these members lounges. So yeah, that's my goal. I don't know how I forgot to mention that earlier, but yeah, everything I do on the channel, as cliche as it may sound, it's in an effort to find a good balance between, I know it's impossible. I want to make everybody happy, and I know I can't do that, but it's not going to stop me from trying my best. I want to make people who are here for streams happy. People who want to hear streams specifically where we're talking about the topics extensively, deep discussions, deep community engagement. I want to make those people happy. I want to make people who are here for video content happy, for people who are here for shorter news videos happy. I want to make my members happy, obviously, because especially if you're paying for your membership or you're paying for membership gifts, obviously it's a priority that I make you guys happy. And there are more people that I have to try to make happy. And everything I'm doing with the channel is in an effort to balance that out. And I still don't feel like I've found the perfect balance yet, guys. That's the whole thing. Is I've been, for the past year and a half or so, obviously I've been making a lot of changes, and for those of you who've been keeping up, thank you, seriously. Like, I completely understand that the channel has been all over the place the past year, and I think you guys are cool with that. You've been very understanding that I'm trying to figure out what's working, what's not, and in a way, the gaming industry is trying to figure things out. MBG is trying to figure some things out, but I feel like I have a pretty good lock, at least right now. Hopefully that doesn't change. I feel like I have a pretty good lock on how to balance this out properly. Yeah, I do want to get to 100K, obviously. Want to push for that. Do a Poison Ivy stream. You know what, dude? I'm done. I'm just to give you a little update on that, because I know some of you guys are very heavily invested. I told you about, I think it's like 4 days ago at this point, 4 or 5 days ago, I went out and I did a serious dent into the Poison Ivy overgrowth, and it's growing up my fence, and I dressed accordingly, but apparently I still got some on me, and oh man, I am severely allergic to Poison Ivy. Like, I mean, I know everybody, like, I heard that there are some people who actually don't get reactions to Poison Ivy, but my allergic reaction was severe to where, let me see if you could see this. I got it on my wrist here. It probably looks really light. doesn't really do it justice, but it's only on my wrist, dude. My entire immune system like went haywire because of this allergic reaction. Like the itchiness obviously is enough to drive somebody insane, but my entire immune system just like went crazy. One of the things that happens to me when my immune system overreacts to things, and I've learned this about my body, it's incredibly annoying. When my immune system is like triggered too aggressively, I get temporary GERD, if you know what that is, like severe acid reflux. And any time in my life when I just suddenly, out of nowhere, it's like I can't sleep at night. I feel like I'm going to vomit everywhere. My stomach acids are going ape shit. That's a key indicator that like my immune system is overreacting to something, and that's like for some reason that's like an immune response I have. And as soon as I got this rash, dude, oh man, it's still bothering me. It's getting better, and I'm managing it. But dude, the past couple nights with this acid indigestion, because your immune system activates at night, by the way, for those who don't know this. If you ever notice when you're sick, you wake up, you feel super shitty, but throughout the morning and the early afternoon and the, around that time, you kind of notice like you feel a little bit better, like you feel more functional. But then as you get into the evening, you really start to feel super shitty. That's because your immune system's starting to activate, and you have a lot less cortisol in your system. And the cortisol is kind of what gives you that, slight pep in your step, I guess you could say, making you feel a little bit better. And the past couple nights, dude, I could feel my immune system like, okay, this is not good. And it's horrible. Like, long story short, or long story long, I'm not going out there again, bro. I'm not touching that. I'm going to have to hire somebody, a professional, maybe somebody who's not allergic to it, but I can't risk it. It's just too severe of a reaction, and it's not worth it. And yeah, not good, man. Not good. Too much tomatoes. Yeah, that too. GERD sucks. Really does. Although it could be possible that maybe it's becoming a more, like, GERD runs in my family. I think my father had it. I know other family members have had issues with like bad acid reflux. I don't drink soda. I drink like seltzer and sparkling water. But yeah, poison ivy is the final boss of your home. Fight it out through the basement. It feels that way. It feels that like I feel like I went out there and I approached that poison ivy like I would approach an Elden Ring or Dark Souls boss or like a Bloodborne boss. And I got, I feel like it was the equivalent of I got their health bar like halfway down. And I'm like, I think I can do this. And then the second phase comes in and just smacks you, bro. And you're like, before you know it, you're just waking up at the bonfire and you're like, oh, I can't do this, That's pretty much what I experienced last week. Or this week, I should say. So yeah, it's those Xbox allergies kicking in, man. My skin's breaking out because that showcase is coming. I need a two-handed sword. Going with a mace or a hand axe is too close. I went in with my bare hands, bro. I was going with the fist build. No joke. That's what I was doing. I was basically just grabbing it. You know what the craziest thing about poison ivy is too, and I'll tell you guys this in case you ever encounter poison ivy. Like if it starts growing around your home. If you like pull a poison ivy weed or like a whole branch of it, and you just leave it on the ground, it'll die and it'll wither and it'll dry up. However, the oil, the actual oil that's on the poison ivy plant is still there, and it will stay on that plant for like 6 months to a year. So be careful. Like dead poison ivy, it's not actually dead, bro. You can still get that stuff on you. That's crazy. What is up with poison ivy, man? It's like it really does sound like some kind of like nature's Dark Souls boss or something, man. It's just WD-40. Gaming Survivor's been waiting for this moment. MBG needs a WD-40 plus Astral Realm Blessing plus Synthol injection build. Oh my god. I mean, yeah, that would do the job, wouldn't it? Take on the Poison Ivy from the Astral Realm with a Synthol injection. Devil Shooter, you're saying you get Poison Ivy bad? Yeah, it's no fun situation. I should have spammed roll. Yeah, I can imagine my neighbors looking outside, just seeing me rolling around my backyard, like near my Poison Ivy. To like, should we call the cops? What should we do? What's going on out there? But can't use any pyromancy on it. That's too risky. Well, I'll update you guys. Like I said, I'm gonna have to contact somebody, get a quote. Probably won't be cheap. Although I like to think what I did might lower the price. All right, let me make sure I've expended all of today's topics. Looking around here. Just making sure there's no... Yeah, I think we've covered basically everything. So, we'll do basically a last call. This is what I've been doing for the recent streams, where I basically give like a 5 to 10 minute last call for any more membership gifts, any more memberships in general, and any more super chats, because we will be ending the stream shortly. Bro, who the hell names their son MBG? Yeah, I don't know, man. That's just the name I was born with, you know? His name I was given. Let me check real quick. So, yeah, tomorrow here's my plan for tomorrow. I want to have a news video out for you guys. So I should be able to get a news video out, and then we will be streaming. We will also be streaming Summer Game Fest. Okay. You're saying Zubitech listed the game modes for. Okay. Concord game modes, trophy hunt. Work together as a team to find and collect tokens from fallen rival crew members. The crew with the most points wins the match. Take down, earn points as you and your crew take out rival free gunners each round. The crew with the most points wins. Territory control, capture and control 3 zones on the map. The more zones your team controls, the more points you earn, and the closer your crew gets to victory. Conflict, find the selected zone on the map and defend it to claim victory, or take out the rival crew before they have the chance. Signal hunt, work together to find and control new zones on the map before time runs out. Cargo contract, secure valuable cargo for pickup or intercept and take out the rival crew to bring home the win. It says your actions count. Steal enemy ammo, disarm rival free gunners, buff your team, clear a path, and more. Your role in the team is essential. No matter your playstyle, you have the power to change the course of a match and help your team win. So there you go. Those are all the game modes apparently for Concord. So, I mean, they sound pretty decent. Yeah, that's for Concord. You hope Concord is better than Overwatch? Well, the thing I'm curious about is if Sony's planning on doing previews for this game before the beta. Normally, Sony does a wave of previews for their games. I don't remember what they did with Helldivers 2. I can't remember if they did a wave of previews for Helldivers 2. I feel like they did, but it was really close to launch. So maybe they could do something similar for the beta where they will put out previews for Concord, but it'll be like a day or two before the beta drops. But I don't know. Maybe they're going to treat this a little bit differently. Oh yeah, I'm going to end this poll, by the way. Let's see what the poll says. 815 votes. Are you pre-ordering Concord? 77% say no, 12% say yes, 10% say maybe. So those are results for this poll anyway. Saying you're wondering if the beta is also on PC. I would assume it is. That would be kind of weird. Considering it's launching day and date on PC, it would be pretty strange if they were like, oh yeah, we're just going to do the beta on PS5. I don't know if that would make sense. Because, I mean, part of the beta is they want to test out the servers and stuff. So, there's going to be crossplay, I believe, as well. So, yeah, I think it would be... Oh, that's another thing I'm curious about. Can you turn crossplay off? That's actually... I didn't think about that. That's going to be really important since this is a competitive first-person shooter. I would hope you can turn crossplay off. You can do that in any crossplay game. Yeah, I would assume that has to be there. That would be very strange if they were like, no, you can't turn crossplay off. You have to play with PC players on console. Because I think it's safe to say that there would be a bit of an advantage there, certainly. Yeah. Shems, you're heading out, man. Well, thank you for tuning in, buddy. I hope you guys did enjoy the stream. Press X podcast, really, really big episode here. My goal for Press X podcast is to do 3 episodes a week. Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Michael says Press X is back. It's back. The format in and of itself isn't changing all that much. But yes, the branding, the naming, there's some Press X podcast merch if you want to go check that out. But yeah, the name is back again to just kind of help people be able to decide which content is for them. The MBG cast. I'm glad you like it, Michael. Well, yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy it. I had a good time. Covered a lot of good topics today. The next Press X podcast, ironically enough, is going to happen this Sunday and will be completely focused on Xbox. There's a reason why I call it Press X podcast. But yeah, this Sunday is the Xbox stream, showcase. So, that entire stream is going to be taken up by that. PXP is a great name. I'm glad you like it. Yeah. I mean, I always thought it was a little too basic, but I'm like, you know what? It's good. The fact that I think the fact that I have the PlayStation X, like for the PS5 DualSense, I think that clearly communicates it's PlayStation, but Press A podcast. Yeah. Sunday will be Press A podcast. All right, guys, that does it though. This is where I'm going to call it. I want to just do my outro quickly before I end the stream. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching. I want to give a very special thank you to everybody who dropped membership gifts today. We did hit our goal of 25. We went beyond that, and we hit 27. And as I was about to thank anybody who super chatted, we have Michael coming in with another super chat here, $5 chat, saying, I'll be there. I'll have to stream this one later since I missed it. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it, Michael. Devil Shooter does the timestamps, so I'll give Devil Shooter his shout out. Thank you for the timestamps, man. And if you guys see him in the comments, give him some thanks. So you can look out for those to help navigate the show. But thank you again for the super chat, and thank you to everybody else who dropped super chats as well. As you guys know, I'm only able to do this podcast, do these streams, and run this channel the way I currently do because you guys allow it. You are the sponsors. So thank you so much for everything you do for me and this community and this channel. And that does it. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. I will catch you guys tomorrow. We should have a news video out. And again, we will be streaming Summer Game Fest. So I will be talking to you guys again real soon. So that does it. I'm going to go get some food and rehydrate and just stare at that poison ivy and contemplate life. So, all right, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, take care, everyone.